So hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to look at one of my favorites what if scenario, and I know you guys were suggesting that too. What if Naruto had a sun breathing technique? Basically, Naruto transferred into Tanjiro's body after he died in battle. Wait, I am not going to give too many spoilers in the intro. All I can say is, you guys gonna love this movie. But before I start, don't forget to use the 1000 Year of Death on like and subscribe button. Now let's start the story. Chapter 1. What happened to my soul? Tanjiro. Someone called somebody. Who? That's not his name. Tanjiro? They repeated. Look at me. Who are you talking with? Huh? They sounded confused. You, of course. Whom else's name is Tanjiro? That's not my name. Look at me dear. Blink. 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 Tanjiro? Who? Me? I am Naruto Uzumaki. He replied to the woman before him. The 7th Hokage Databeo. What is a Hokage, dear? The woman looked at him with concern. She touched his forehead and frowned. It doesn't seem like you are sick. Are you still sleepy perhaps? Edo, mind telling me who you are, fair lady? He sheepishly asked. Why does he feel all weird? Shorter. I am your mother of course. She almost shouted. Mom? He stood up. Did he die? Is this heaven? Oh of course. His final battle. He didn't have Kurama to heal him this time. It perfectly makes sense. I am so glad Mom, Databeo. I missed you so much. Where's Dad and Pervy Sage? Is Niji here too? Eh? The woman frowned deeply, then hugged him tightly. Oh my sweetheart, you are missing your dad, right? Don't be sad, I am sure he is fine, happy and watching over us. Yeah, but wait a minute. His mother was a redhead, short-tempered decently tall woman. Not some dark-haired short woman with light violet eyes. He pushed her away. Who are you? I am not dead, am I? Tell me where's Sasuke? Konohamaru? Shikamaru? Where are you guys? Why are you screaming like that? The woman shouted back. What happened to you, my son? I am your son. He whispered, not quite believing it. And why does his voice sound weird? Wait, this isn't even his voice. Is this a genjutsu? Hi. He clasped his hands and shouted. The woman made an audible eep sound and jumped. Hi. Louder. The woman could not take it anymore. She grabbed his shoulders firmly and started shaking him furiously. Come back to your senses. Naruto was perplexed for a moment before his eyes widened and he started screaming. Let me go. Let me go. Let me go. Tush. Tanjiro. After receiving the devastating slap on his right cheek, he was stunned at the act, but calmed down a bit. Calm. Down. Okay, then talk. He finally asked in a neutral tune. Who are you? I Kamado. She was taken aback by the question, but adjusted quickly. I am your mother. How can you be my mother? You barely look above 30. Well, she choked her own spit. Well, you were born when I was 17. So, I guess I am this Tanjiro Kamado. Of course. She nodded sadly. What is this place? He looked around. Mount Kumatori. Kai replied. Our home. Never heard of it. He looked at the children for a moment before asking, so I am what? Huh? How old do you think I am? I'm 13. Almost 14. Who are they? He pointed towards a trio of kids in the corner of the room who were looking at him with wide eyes and stunned expressions. Your kids. Your siblings. The pink-eyed junior you over there with the baby too. Of course. That's a lot of children for a young woman like you. He deadpanned. Thank you. You, he pointed his finger to the girl with pink eyes wearing a pink kimono. Bring me a mirror, please. The perplexed girl looked at him with awe. Then an uncomfortable pause. Mother and daughter shared a glance. What? Naruto asked, annoyed. Mother and daughter shared another glance. Edo the mother, Kai, finally began sheepishly. We don't have a mirror. Huh? Naruto rubbed his chin. Who doesn't have a mirror these days? We can't afford one. The seemingly pink-obsessed girl finally opened her mouth. Seriously? It's that expensive. Again mother and daughter shared another uncomfortable glance. Is this a thing? Naruto let out a sigh. He crossed his fingers together and poof of smoke appeared beside him. Every occupant of the room squeaked. D2Ani-chan, the youngest girl in the corner said in a shaky voice. Naruto stood up and observed the clone. Average height. More adorable than handsome. Weird reddish black hair. Scarlet black eyes. Weird mark on the forehead, birthmark or some sort of accident perhaps. Strange earrings. Black checkered green haori. Judging from these people's facial and body structure, they don't seem to be from the elemental nations. So either they are from some other continent or it is a completely different world. The former is possible, and for the latter doesn't seem impossible, as Naruto has more than enough experience for him to believe this can be very much real. What is happening here? Kai finally stood up and shouted. Weird. So I died. Naruto stated simply. What? The pink-eyed girl couldn't hear it. Say, Naruto began. If I were to say that I am a 40-year-old village leader and one of the most powerful men in history, also I have a wife and children, one of whom is 17 and the other one is 13, would you believe me? They gave him a blank look before retorting in unison, of course not. You are Tanjiro Kamado. And what kind of ridiculous story is that? Naruto let out a deep sigh. It should be pretty much pointless to convince them something so unbelievable like this. He doesn't know how, but he knows he can't return. He is still very sad considering the fact that he may not see Hinata, Boruto and Hime again. He felt a big weight on his heart. They are his family but now, not anymore. Now he has these people, guess I should settle down here. He thought. A big family would not be so bad after all. Plus they all seemed pretty nice. But I still need this boy's memories. Maybe I should meditate and see if I can find the real Tanjiro's memories. Naruto sat in a lotus position and closed his eyes. He instantly entered his mindscape. Doing meditation for years has taken him to such a degree of mastery over it that he can instantly enter and exit his mindscape. But something startled him. Instead of his regular sewer-like mindscape, he found himself standing in a, how do you describe this? The place was enlightened with soothing light coming from who knows where. There are tiny shiny particles in the air. There was no ceiling, instead a beautiful semi-cloudy sky. Shikamaru will kill to come here. The place is warm, not irritating, but nice. This is proof of how enlightened the boy's mind is. He must be the one of those called pure-hearted. Who are you? He heard someone ask from not too far. I am Naruto Uzumaki. He replied as the person, now revealed a boy, came into his view. Are you Tanjiro Kamado? Yes. The boy nodded. We have lots of things to talk about. Who are you? Tanjiro asked the man wearing an orange shirt and black pants. What are you doing here? Please stay away. Calm down, kid. The man said in a calm tone. I did not come here to harm you and I had no intention of coming here anyway. Then what is all this about? Tanjiro asked. Why can't I wake up? I may not have all the answers, but… So will you explain everything? Sure, at least the ones I know. But first for the formalities, I'm Naruto Uzumaki, nice to meet you. I am Tanjiro Kamado, Uzumaki-san. That's a nice name, kid. So, anyways, as for where I am from, well, I am not from this world. What does that even mean? What I mean is I am transmigrated. My last memory there, in my own world, was me dying, then just darkness. When I regained consciousness, I saw here Tanjiro, in your body. What is that even possible? Afraid so, Dadabeo. Huh? Sorry, the man scratched the back of his head sheepishly. It is a verbal tic I inherited from my mum. Oh, I see. So, will you tell me your story? It is a very long story. But I think if we share our memories, it won't be necessary. How do we do it? Like this. Naruto stretched out his hand and made a fist. Come on, don't just look at it. First bump with me. Oh okay. Tanjiro awkwardly did so. Abruptly everything was covered in a white blinding light. Nezuko was having a really weird day. This morning, when her mother went to wake up her brother, he didn't immediately wake up like usual. Instead, he kept muttering something about 5 more minutes in his sleep. When mother used force to wake him up, he woke up, as expected. But as he looked around, his eyes went as if he wasn't expecting this as his surroundings. When mother asked him what was wrong, he began shouting something about some kind of genjutsu. This is definitely not normal. First of all, Tanjiro is a gentle person, not some rude lunatic. He doesn't have any sort of verbal tic dadabeo, which is kinda cute in her opinion. Second of all, he definitely doesn't know how to do magic, let alone making a copy of himself. So when he sat down in an unfamiliar meditative pose, she didn't know what to expect. When did he become so unpredictable? After 5 minutes, which seemed like an eternity, Tanjiro opened his eyes. This time however, instead of the unfamiliar hostile look, she found the familiar caring look on his eyes. Mom, he said, looking at mother in a sad tone, which was a bit weird, but it's far better than being a lunatic. I am sorry. I might have. Tanjiro couldn't continue as he found himself in a tight embrace. They remained in that position for about a minute before she petted his head and said, don't worry, son. I am sure you had a good reason. She looked at Nezuko. Honey, would you mind going to the town to sell charcoal instead of Tanjiro? Sure mom. Nezuko cheerfully replied. I'm sure big brother could use a good rest. Thanks Nezuko, her mother replied with a smile. I really appreciate it. You don't need to. Tanjiro tried to speak, but Nezuko interfered. You don't look so good, big brother, she said. Please take some rest. Alright, he sighed. But then his face lit up. But I will do all your work, Dadabeo. He looked at his younger siblings in the corner of the room who were looking at him with awe. Sujiro-kun, Takeo-kun, Hanako-chan, I am going to show you some super cool tricks that will blow your mind. K. The younger sibling trio were confused for a moment before nodding eagerly. For some miraculous reason the members of Kamado family seemed to have forgotten that the eldest son had just created a copy of himself just a few minutes before the dispelling it. After saying goodbye to her family she went to the town with a charcoal-filled basket on her back. I knew her son was very strong, both physically and mentally. So when he worked the hardest among her children she wasn't surprised. However, when he began working like a maniac, she became a little worried. Chopping those woods was not mandatory. But she became anxious when he started working at an astonishing rate with no sign of exhaustion. She was beginning to think if it was a bad idea allowing him to work, especially after witnessing his act in the morning. However, the biggest shock came after he made 5 more of himself and began to clean the storeroom. She noticed her other children were a good 10 meters away from him, hiding behind a tree. So Kai mustered all the courage she could and went to her eldest son. Tanjiro. Yes, mother. 3 Tanjiros looked at her simultaneously. She made an eep sound, one quite audible too. But she asked again, the real one? That would be me. A cheerful voice was heard. A Tanjiro carrying a bucket and broom came into view. Yes, mom. What kind of magic is this? These? He pointed towards the copies. These are my clones. Clones? Yep. And they can do everything I can do. But they pop out when they get a solid hit or run out of chakra. Chakra? It's the energy that only I possess here. I see. She frowned. But, how can you do this? I mean, how can you make these clones? Well, I just weave a hand sign and poof, they come to help. Where did you learn this art from? Ninja art. Sorry. You call them ninja art. Okay. But how did you learn it? This might take a while. I have nothing else to do besides cooking. She pointed towards his clones who were occupied with storeroom cleaning duty. Not for at least a month, I think. Oh, he sheepishly said. So where to begin? The story was ridiculously long. Way too long. So long that if you start writing, it would take more than 70 books to finish Naruto's story alone. After 5 hours of storytelling about the great story of the #1 unpredictable knucklehead ninja and his super cool adventures complemented with his heroic end, the story finally came to an end. The 3 children couldn't understand most of it. But their mother understood, at least the most necessary ones. Let me get this straight, Kai began. A very strong and noble warrior died and his soul merged with yours. That's the short version. Tanjiro nodded sagely. But yes. So you are not Tanjiro? She asked worriedly. I am, but I am not too. You see, when our souls came in touch, both Naruto and Tanjiro's memories were mixed. So I am now Naruto or Najiro. Seeing the pale face of the woman sitting in front of him, Tanjiro smiled brightly. But I will always be your son. Nothing can change that, no matter who or what I am, Dadabeo. Maybe there are people who can copy faces, Kai thought. But no one can replicate that smile and those eyes. She smiled back. The pale-skinned man wearing a fashionable European suit looked at the mountain, so this is where they have been hiding for the past centuries. He grinned. It is time to end the line of the sun breathers. He started to climb the mountain. Little did he know, his life would be changing forever after this. Muzan is here. Now we have to see how our hero deals with the Demon King. Muzan knocked on the door. He may be a demon, but he knows his manners. After 15 seconds, he heard someone unlocking the door. Welcome Nezuko. A boy with black-red hair wearing Hanafuda earrings opened the door. Hanafuda earrings. The boy gave him a puzzled look before asking yes sir. Muzan stared at him, then smiled. Good evening, young man. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Muzan Kibutsuji. I am a writer. I travel from town to village in order to gather research materials. Cool, the boy said, then he asked the strangest question anyone asked him in the last century. But you look like a band member more than a writer. The last writer I knew used to write smut. He gave Muzan a thoughtful look. Do you write that kind of stuff too? Are you here to get a good spot to peep on the hot springs in the village? You aren't a stupid, are you? The pregnant pause. So I came to visit this lovely town of yours. During my stay here I heard great things about this mountain. Then I decided to pay a visit. But alas. I seem to have lost my way back. I was wondering if you would be kind enough to let me stay for the night. Sorry Mr. Miwa-san. The boy smiled sheepishly. It is my duty to look after my family in the absence of my father. And I have to go out for a bit, hence I can't leave a stranger in my house alone with the rest of my family members when I am not home. What a sensible young man you are. Muzan grinned madly, he would enjoy seeing the boy feasting on his family members' flesh. Subconsciously, he leaked some killing intent, but the boy seemed unaffected by it. And my name is Muzan. Not Miwa-san. Sure, whatever. The boy slammed the door on his face. Muzin's veins around his forehead bulged. His slitted eyes reappeared. Dark red aura engulfed him. No one ever disrespected him like this. There will be absolute carnage. Muzin's fist went straight for the wooden door, intention break the door, get in, make the boy a demon, watch him kill everyone, and finally give him a very painful. He blinked his eyes for a split second, then reopened them. The door would be now. Miwa-san. The Hanafuda earrings wearing boy opened the door, cautiously stopping his fist by gripping it tightly. Without losing his smile he asked, "Are you mad at me because I did not let you in?" "Pardon me, please, but I had no choice. Anyways, did you happen to spot a girl of my age somewhere around here?" Muzin didn't reply. How can he? A boy no older than 14 stooping his fist like nothing. That's impossible, or perhaps he is. He stopped my punch effortlessly. Is he a demon too? No, I wonder what potential he possesses. Maybe, I think I should retreat for now. Say something, would you? The boy pressed, snapping him out of his thoughts. I didn't. He replied. Oh, that's too bad. The boy let his hand go. I guess I have to find her myself. He looked thoughtful for a moment before asking, "Hey Miwa-san, why don't you tag along with me? I can show you the way back." That, he gave it a quick thought. The boy is clearly no ordinary human. Who knows how strong the rest of the family is? Attacking this family might not be a good idea after all. Would be very kind of you. Great. The boy smiled widely. My name is Tanjiro Kamado, by the way. Nice to meet you. Tanjiro, I will definitely remember this name. The boy has amazing abilities aside from his super strength and inhuman reflexes. He's got a very keen nose. Tanjiro located his sister from half a mile away from his home, using his smelling ability. This surprised Muzin greatly. The boy definitely has some powerful blood running through his veins. Muzin wondered if he was a descendant of Yoriichi. After witnessing his abilities firsthand, this idea doesn't entirely seem too far-fetched. Tanjiro found his sister at Suburo's house. The old man let the young girl stay at his house because he thought that it would not be safe for her to wander alone in the middle of a snowy night. Tanjiro thanked the man for his courtesy, but said that he will escort his sister back to their home. Muzin, seeing the girl, was a bit disappointed. He expected her to be strong, but the girl appeared to be weak. Then again, her brother also appeared to be weak on his first encounter. Hence, he didn't make further assumptions. Nezuko was surprised to see her brother. Although it is something he would do. She thanked Saburo-san for his concern for herself. The old man insisted that they stay, but he could not convince the overprotective brother. Saburo bid them goodbye and slammed his door, muttering something about "I won't be responsible if something happens." They walked for a bit before Tanjiro looked at Muzin and said, "So, I think I should." He was interrupted by a powerful roar that shook the entire mountain. The animal was at least 7 feet tall, and it had coal black fur. With each of its steps, the whole earth felt like shaking. Muzin had a bored look on his face, whereas Nezuko was shaking behind her brother. And as for Tanjiro, well, he turned towards the source and spotted a giant black bear. Shouldn't it be hibernating now? The bear slowly made its way towards them. Nezuko, Miwa-san, Tanjiro said as he stepped forward. Stay back, let me handle this. Ani-chan, Nezuko sniffed. Are you sure, young man? I can take care of it, he replied. Seeing their doubtful look, he said, believe me. Tanjiro stopped about 3 meters away from the animal and looked right into its eyes. The animal made some odd sound with its mouth before suddenly jumping back. It, literally, jumped back. What's happening? Muzin asked, not quite understanding. Nezuko was too shocked to utter anything. He said he was hungry. Tanjiro said without turning back. What? Muzin exclaimed, or asked. Ani-chan, you speak bear? Anyways, Tanjiro walked towards the animal, who was currently shivering. He tried to eat us. But I forbade him. I told him that I will punish him if he ever attacks a human. And do you know what he asked? Tanjiro asked with hollow eyes and blank look on his face. Can I eat the monster with you then? Muzin felt a chill. No, it would be an understatement. He felt his legs shaking. I wonder, Tanjiro continued. Which one of us is he talking about? The stronger monster or the weaker monster? Muzin gaped like a fish out of water. He took a few steps back as the boy was radiating a massive killing intent, intentionally or not. For a split second, he saw a slithowl of yoriichi behind the boy. Ha 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 ha. Miwa-san. Tanjiro burst into laughter. You actually fell for it. I was joking, Dadabeo. Then he looked at the animal and gave a silent command or warning. The animal pissed on the spot before running away and disappearing into the woods. Wow. Nezuko said. I never knew anyone could handle a bear better than father. Their father too, Muzin thought in awe. What is with this family? What kind of twisted legacy did you leave behind, Yoriichi? So, I guess this is it, Tanjiro-kun. Muzin said. The boy turned to him and gave him another one of his unique smiles. I wouldn't leave someone new like you here all alone. What if you are attacked by a bear? But your sister? Nah, he moved his hand. Be ready to be amazed by my awesomeness, Miwa-san. He brought his hands together in front of his chest and using his index fingers, made a cross sign. Shadow clone technique. Poof. When the smoke cleared, two identical boys standing side by side grinned at him. What? Muzin didn't know that he could scream like a girl. He is glad that he discovered it before anyone else from the Kazuki could. But the point is, how on earth did that boy do that? Is this an illusion? Nezuko was also taken off her guard, but she wasn't as surprised as Muzin as she had seen the trick in the morning. Tanjiro, seeing Miwa-san's awe, said, no need to fear, Miwa-san. It is my shadow clone. The clone waved its hand and said, yo. It is not as awesome or strong as I am, he continued, ignoring the clone, who retorted, hey. But it is strong enough to guide you through the mountain. I think, Muzin said. I will be fine by myself. Thank you for accompanying me this far. Nonsense. Again Tanjiro waved his hand, much to Muzin's annoyance. I can't leave you here. Looking at his clone, he gave a silent command to which the clone nodded in response. He will be with you for the rest of the way. Muzin, seeing no room for debate, agreed. Before they parted ways, Muzin asked Tanjiro, Tanjiro-kun, I can't thank you enough for everything you have done for me. Nah, he said. It wasn't a problem, Dadabeo. Before I leave, Muzin said. What type of sorcery is this? He pointed towards the clone. It's a long story. Tanjiro sighed. A very long story. I hope we meet again, Muzin smiled. I would love to listen to your story. I am a writer after all, Tanjiro-kun. Yeah. The boy energetically said. Then you can publish a super cool book about it, Dadabeo. Then they begin walking in the opposite directions. Before the real Tanjiro along with his sister was out of sight, Muzin gave one final look to him. You knew all along who I was, didn't you? We will definitely meet again. He thought. Tanjiro-kun. 2 hours earlier. It was way past dinner time and Nezuko was yet to return. Everyone was growing more and more anxious. Finally, not being able to wait anymore, Tanjiro decided to go and look for her. His mother, Kai, protested, but he didn't change his decision. When Tanjiro was just about to head out, he felt something malicious outside of their house. Then there was a knock on the front door. Who could it be? Everyone but him believed it to be Nezuko. But he acted as if he also thought it to be her. Upon opening the door, a tall man wearing a band-like suit came into view. The man was wearing strange clothes. His son, Burrito, used to watch a show of singers who wore such clothes. This man's attire was similar to theirs. Is he a band member who is also a psycho killer? The Kamado family has no enemies, not at least for a few centuries. The stranger definitely has some malicious intentions. The stranger stared at him in an odd way. Tanjiro smiled. Good evening, young man. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Muzin Kibutsuji. I am a writer. I travel from town to village in order to gather research materials. Cool, Tanjiro commented. But you look like a band member more than a writer. The last writer I knew you to write smut. He gave Muzin a thoughtful look. Do you write that kind of stuff too? Are you here to get a good spot to peep on the hot springs in the village? You aren't as stupid, are you? Muzin ignored the question. I came to visit this lovely town of yours. During my stay here I heard great things about this mountain. I couldn't help but marvel at its beauty. Then I decided to pay a visit, but alas. I seem to have lost my way back. I was wondering if you would be kind enough to let me stay for the night. Sorry, Mr. Miwa-san. The boy smiled sheepishly. It is my duty to look after my family in the absence of my father. And I have to go out for a bit, hence I can't leave a stranger in my house alone with the rest of my family members. What a sensible young man you are. The man grinned creepily, almost like Orochimaru back in Chunin exams. He leaked some killing intent with cage-level intensity. This guy is dangerous. However, this did not affect Tanjiro much. He might have if he hadn't faced more powerful enemies one after another in his 30+ years of life. And my name is Muzin. Not Miwa-san. Sure, whatever. Tanjiro slammed the door on his face. Better not to face this guy here. He needs to draw the troublesome man away. Tanjiro doesn't want to freak his family out by showing them what kind of warrior Naruto was. Naruto was a kind and friendly man throughout his life. Never had he harmed any innocent and he hated innocents getting harmed because of him, even if that being unintentionally. His siblings were fast asleep while his mother was waiting for him. Who was that? She asked. Oh no. Tanjiro simply replied. Some guy asked for help. Says that he lost way back to town. You're going to help him, aren't you? Of course. Tanjiro smiled. But I am not leaving you guys here all alone. He swiftly summoned 5 shadow clones. No sooner had they popped into existence than she jumped a bit, perplexed. Now I am going to find Nezuko. Jana. I is not getting used to this anytime soon. The killing intent was increasing at an alarming rate. Tanjiro rushed to open the door. Miwa-san. Tanjiro opened the door. In the corner of his eye, he spotted a projectile reaching at high anbo level speed. A normal man wouldn't even know what hit him. But Tanjiro is not a normal person, not Naruto at least. He casually stopped his fist and gripped it tightly. He felt fractures to the carpals, metacarpals, and phalanges. If he had not used chakra he would have lost his limb by now. This person is someone you don't want to fight without any strategy or the measurement of strength. Without losing his smile he asked, "Are you mad at me because I did not let you in?" "Pardon me, please, but I had no choice. Anyways, did you happen to spot a girl of my age somewhere around here?" The man didn't reply. He was clearly shocked. "Say something, would you?" Tanjiro pressed. "I didn't." He said something under his breath. "Oh, that's too bad." Tanjiro let his hand go. I guess I have to find her myself." He looked thoughtful for a moment before asking, "Hey Miwa-san, why don't you tag along with me? I can show you the way back." "That," he looked thoughtful for a moment. "Would be very kind of you." "Great." Tanjiro smiled widely, "My name is Tanjiro Kamado by the way. Nice to meet you." Tanjiro, he said it as if he is trying out how it sounds coming from his mouth. They found Nezuko at old man Saburo's house. Nezuko was a bit puzzled for a moment seeing him. But she understood without needing an explanation. The old man was angry at him for coming all the way from the top of the mountain for his sister in the middle of night. But of course he couldn't force them to stay. The bear didn't speak, of course. It was simply Naruto's tactic to confirm if Muzan was a human or not. Judging from his reaction he wasn't. The bear was really hungry though. It said that his cave broke down due to stones falling on it. One might question how he knew it if he didn't speak bear well. He lived half of his life practically with toads, so yeah, he knows how to know underneath the underneath. Before parting ways, Tanjiro made a shadow clone and sent it with Muzan. The clone was destroyed 10 minutes later. Someone attacked it from behind. The attacker was fast. Too fast. But it wasn't Muzan. So whoever sent Muzan didn't send him alone. They probably wanted to capture him in order to learn his secrets. Unfortunately for them, it seems this dimension's beings do not possess chakra to perform ninja techniques. Who sent Muzan? Muzan is at least cage level, he isn't a human. No, he is a superhuman. An experiment. Like Orochimaru used to do long ago. But the question is, who or what are they looking for? What do they want from the Kamado family? Tanjiro thought as he came back with Nezuko. Kai was hugging her eldest daughter tightly. The younger siblings woke up and looked at the elders with confused and innocent eyes. He smiled sadly. "I've lost my family once. I am not losing my family again." Muzan severely punished Akaza for his interference. He immediately demoted him from Upper Moon 3 to Upper Moon 6. It is known as an extreme level punishment. No one has been punished by this for the past couple of centuries. Doma will surely start making fun of Akaza whenever he sees him. According to Akaza, he attacked the boy because he thought it was a crime of the highest degree for the reed to talk to his master like an old friend. He said that any one of the 12 Kizuki would have done the same thing if there was another in his place. But the boy was no ordinary boy. Akaza wasn't even sure if he was human. Even his master says the boy is a danger to him too. His physical ability and speed rivals Upper Moon's once. Who knows what is his true potential? The boy knows some sort of sorcerer too. As he could create copies of himself. His master said, "The boy reminds me of my worst enemy Yoriichi. The same hair color, those same earrings, and his presence and gaze is deep, very deep, so deep that I can tell he has seen war. He may talk in a friendly tone, but the underlying meaning is much more sinister. That boy is a threat to our existence." This sent shivers down Akaza's spine. If his master considers someone as a threat, which he usually never does, then this kid, Kamado Tanjiro, is definitely a threat. Muzan decided to test the boy. As Simi, the demon, passed the city and approached the mountain, it smelled something different. The smell is neither human nor demonic. But smelling the smell, Simi also realized that its owner was a very powerful being, human or not. Simi climbed to the top of the mountain in no time. The path was a bit snowy, but nothing that could stop him. He could now sense multiple humans plus the abnormal one. But something was not quite right. There is not 1, 2 or even 3 of the abnormal smells, but more than a dozen. Perhaps there is a small group of demon slayers waiting for him. He felt a bit nervous. 1 abnormal. He can handle it. A dozen would be a different case though. But it's too late to retreat now. The Demon King would end him on the spot for his cowardice. He gulped before going towards the hut. Simi was about 50 meters away from the hut when he heard a twig snapping. Immediately he turned back but could sense no one. An animal, perhaps. He thought to himself. He once again proceeded towards the house when he heard something again, but it was not just one, but multiple. The person was hiding and revealing their presence again and again on purpose. This was a strong opponent, very strong. He gulped again. Who is there? He tried to sound brave. Seeing no reply, he asked again. Come out, you coward. No reply. Fine, now, I am going to kill those humans over. He couldn't finish as he felt something very sharp against his throat and a suffocating presence behind him. I am going to ask this once, a young male voice spoke. What are you? The demon. Why did you come here? To kill you? The voice sounded thoughtful for a moment. I shall let you try. I need to see your abilities too, Dadabeo. He let go of Simi. My family members are asleep, let's not make too much noise, nah. Simi turned and faced his challenger. The normal brat. The demon licked his lips with his long tongue and smiled a strange crooked smile. His huge green body showed in the moonlight. My master told me that this was a very important mission. I knew that he sent me to kill some people, but never had I imagined it was you, a normal brat. Anyway, I will kill and eat all of you, and I will be among the great 12 Kazuki. As an old enemy of mine used to say, Tanjiro smiled before getting into his taijutsu stance. Let's dance. The demon disappeared from the spot, only to reappear and throw a roundhouse kick at the boy. But Simi was shocked to see the boy vanish in a poof of smoke. Is this what my lord was talking about? He thought. This boy is a sorcerer. Over here. The demon swiftly turned back, only to get thrown back a few meters away by a powerful wind force. This kid can control the wind too. He thought as he stood up. I shouldn't underestimate him anymore. The demon's hands glowed in a crimson light. Blood demon art. Devil's root. Abruptly, dozens upon dozens of tree roots burst out of the earth and started to grab the boy who was not making any effort to get himself free. This is what? Asked the boy in a lazy tone. A cheap copy of wood release. He sighed. Man, this is even worse than the Zetsus. The demon didn't make any comment, he observed the boy. After half a minute, the boy was wrapped completely in tree roots, like a mummy. Blood demon art. Devil's breath. The green smoke was released inside, and soon the roots began to shrink. That boy was hard to kill, Simi said. I usually don't have to use my blood demon art. That was weak. He froze as soon as he heard it. He barely managed to dodge a devastating punch directed to his jaw, only to receive another one at his chest. The demon struggled for air, but the boy gave him no leisure, as he kept throwing barrages of punches. The demon kept using roots to stop the assault, but they were being cut like butter by Tanjiro's hands alone. Meanwhile, Tanjiro was thinking about something. The demon was weak, too weak compared to him. But then again, he was a low-level threat, that's for sure. And if he is this strong for this standard, then Muzan would be way more stronger. Tanjiro decided to end the battle. Wind style. Rasengan. The chakra sphere hit the demon at his torso and made its way to his back through. It was a nasty sight to see. But Tanjiro was shocked to see the demon regenerating at a rate that would put a Jinchuriki in shame. The demon stood up. Blood demon art. Water style. Water bullet. Before the demon could use his powers again, Tanjiro quickly used wind chakra to sever his arms. The demon was too shocked to say anything. 3.5 minutes later, Tanjiro stood beside a mutilated demon. The demon had none of his limbs, his torso was half gone as well as his right eye. He had serious burn marks all over the body. But the funny thing was the demon was very much alive and was healing slowly, but still, it would eventually have its limbs and eye back. No matter how many jutsus he threw at the demon or how hard he hit it, the demon didn't die. Weird. Although Naruto didn't use more powerful ones such as the Rasen Shuriken. How are you still alive? The former shinobi asked. You should be dead. Are you immortal? And then no. Stammered the demon. We don't die no matter how powerful the attacks are. Only a special blade made by some mysterious men can kill us. We are also allergic to wisteria flowers. Enough of it can possibly kill us. Tanjiro closed his eyes. Now, tell me, what do you know about Muzan? The demon's remaining eye widened in awe before shouting, I can't tell. Oh, okay then, how about we test how hard the lock on your mouth is? Tanjiro smiled sadistically, which didn't suit his face at all. Half an hour later, Tanjiro gave up and decided to seal the demon away. He took a piece of paper from inside his kimono and drew a pentagonal seal. The demon pleaded for mercy. But Tanjiro was not in a good mood. Just when Naruto decided to head back, he felt a presence about 20 meters away. Show yourself. He said as he sighed. Am I late? A new figure emerged. Or did that bastard eat them all by himself? You had never felt such a powerful demon presence before. The demon must have gone through this mountain a few hours earlier. It has to be an upper moon at least. He made his way all the way to the top of the mountain by following his instincts developed by years of experience. From what he learned from the town, a family lives at the top of the mountain. The Kamado family has been selling charcoal for generations. Why would an upper moon demon bother itself with them? Do they possess something that threatens the very existence of the demons? Or do they have something that is very important for the existence of the demons? Conquering the sun. No, he thought. I am probably thinking too much. The mountain's paths were too snowy due to heavy snowfall at night. There are footprints visible, probably 3 or 4 people. You finally reached the place, expecting a bloody scene, a carnage. But the thing is there wasn't anything remotely bloody. The place looked normal. A simple house with a small storeroom beside. That's it. This is unusual. Usually, wherever demons go, they kill people. While it is true that the 12 Kazuki have better control over their desires and hunger, it is still unlikely that they would go to a human's house and won't kill. This is suspicious. What if these people are demons themselves? That might not be entirely impossible. This place is too snowy. Sunlight rarely penetrates the layer of clouds. Very suspicious indeed. Nah, he thought. Maybe I am thinking too much today. He knocked on the wooden front door, his other hand on his nurchin blade, ready for anything. Humming. A feminine, young voice was heard. After hearing a few footsteps approaching, the door opened and Giyu was greeted by a girl with black hair, pink eyes wearing an old pink kimono. Seeing his calculative gaze, she asked him, "How can I help you?" "I work for the government," he began with a half-truth. "According to my spy, a strange person was spotted somewhere around here not long ago. Have you noticed anything?" She hesitated, clearly surprised to see a policeman. "I am afraid, I haven't." "I see," he frowned. "What about others?" "I'll go and ask." She cut off her sentence as her brother emerged from the house. He smiled widely at the man. "Hello." He stretched out his hand. "I am Tanjiro Kamado, Dadabeo. What is your name?" Tanjiro was helping his mother cook dinner when he heard someone knocking at the front door. His younger sister went to see who it was. Tanjiro could feel energy building up behind that door. Whoever it was must be expecting some kind of attack because they did not have any kind of malicious intent like Muzin from the previous night. He heard someone introducing themselves as government people. Tanjiro instantly detected the lie. Even if the person did not possess any kind of malicious intent towards him or his family, he should not let his guard down and be ready for anything. The man, who must be not much older than him judging from his voice, asked Nezuko if she noticed anything odd around lately. Now that is suspicious, he was definitely asking about Muzin. Deciding not to wait any longer, Tanjiro quickly rushed towards his sister. He found a man wearing a colorful haori over a loose black white belted uniform. He had a sword with his waist. "Hello." He stretched out his hand. "I am Tanjiro Kamado, Dadabeo. What is your name?" The man, or rather, the boy, raised his right eyebrow at him and stared for a moment before replying, "Giyu Tomika." "Pleased to meet you, Giyu-san. May I ask under which division of the government you work in?" Tanjiro asked without losing his smile. Giyu didn't answer for a moment. He kept staring at Tanjiro. This boy is crafty. Nezuko meanwhile moved away from them and was watching the interaction curiously. Tanjiro had changed a lot within a day. She knew about the soul merging of her brother with the legendary warrior Naruto, which he told her with great enthusiasm. "Well?" Tanjiro pressed. "It's Giyu," began uncomfortably. "It's a secret division. We are not allowed to speak about it." "I see." Tanjiro's face became serious. "I have never seen a uniform like that. We aren't exactly a lot out there." Say, Giyu-san, does your organization have anything to do with humanoid creatures with abnormal physical strength and odd eyes? What do you know about them?" Giyu asked, narrowing his eyes. "I don't know much about it. Except for maybe one thing. A man came to our house yesterday with ill intentions. He said his name was Tanjiro said. Muzin." Slam. Before her eyes could follow, Nezuko found her brother being pinned against the wall by Giyu. She, along with her mother, screamed. Takeo, Hinako and Shigeru were too terrified to do anything, they just froze on their spot. Rakuta started to cry, sensing the tense atmosphere. "How does a civilian like you know his name?" Giyu asked. His tune was called and promised murder. "Or are you civilian at all? Tell me what kind of a demon you are." Tanjiro maintained his emotionless expression. His eyes were hollow. "That guy last night came to my house with the intention to kill my family." He spoke in a much colder tune. "He sent one of his men, or rather, demons, in order to test me. When I was unable to kill him, I locked him away. He was not the only demon Muzin sent after us. He was the first of 6 demons, each one stronger than the previous one. I locked them too, one by one." "Why would he, of all people, do that?" Giyu asked, not showing his discomfort. He shifted his gaze towards the other occupants of the place. "And why are you guys still alive if he did come here? Where did you lock them away?" "I honestly don't have any idea what he wants from us." Tanjiro said. And about the second question I scared him away. The third one? Let's just say, I have my own portable jail. The demons didn't say anything about Muzan. Heck, they didn't even say his name. This reminded Naruto of Danzo's root Anbu. Danzo had a seal placed on his mindless soldier's body that prevented them from speaking about him. Muzan must have done something similar. Gyu stared at Tanjiro for a moment as if he had sprouted a second head before he spoke. That's outrageous. Gyu loosened his grip on Tanjiro's Haori unconsciously. It is a bold claim, you do realize it, don't you? He was strong. Tanjiro stated. Very strong from what I can tell from my observation. He shattered almost all of my right hand's bones. But he simply wasn't strong enough. He added as a matter of fact. Gyu looked at him, completely dumbfounded. He completely let go of Tanjiro and studied the younger man from top to bottom, nothing special. Then he laughed in a mocking tune. The Kamado family, minus Tanjiro, was confused, not quite understanding anything. What is going on? Who is this Muzan? Nobody from the Demon Slayer Corporation can fully match an upper moon, not even the Hashiras. Gyu said. And you say you scared their boss, the king of demons, away? Demons? Tanjiro meanwhile thought. Maybe this world is not too different from mine. Tell me, kid, Gyu said in a dangerously low voice. Do you have any proof of what you say? If I give you proof, Tanjiro said. What will I get? Huh? That blade looks cool. Why don't we make a bet? He couldn't finish as Gyu tried to grab him again, but this time, he failed to do so. Instead, he was the one who was pinned against the wall by Tanjiro. He struggled to free himself, but failed. This guy is stronger than Jime. You act tough, Tanjiro said with a smile that betrayed his underlying meaning. But do you know what? He leaned towards him and whispered into his ear. I can smell that tiny bit of fear coming from you. You demon. Gyu shouted. Let go of me. Are you willing to listen to me now? Tanjiro asked in a calm tune, still maintaining his smile. I hate to say, but if you resort to violence, it can get ugly. Very ugly. So how do you want to play it? Are you willing to tell me now? Make your move. Gyu looked furious. He sighed but nodded. He is going to talk. Good. Smirked Tanjiro. Hundreds of years ago, there was a man named Muzan. He was born in a noble family. He had money, a great lineage and everything else, but all these didn't save him from the mischief of fate. He suffered from an unknown deadly disease. It was so deadly that he couldn't even get up from bed on his own. One day, by consuming some unknown herb or medicine, he was cured. He could move faster than before. He became way stronger than any human. He surpassed the limitations of human anatomy. However, it affected his mobility under the sun. Because of it, he couldn't tolerate sunlight. But that is not all. He couldn't eat normal food anymore. What Muzan needed to satisfy his hunger was human blood and flesh. What's more is that he had the ability to make others like him. A monster, a demon. Yes, it is true. Muzan could also turn humans into demons. Whoever is given his blood or the ones from his top subordinates transform into monsters like him. His strongest subordinates are called the 12 Kizuki. Muzan and his minions plague the lands. They kill humans with no mercy. They eat human flesh like hyenas. They are almost unstoppable. They hunt in such a way that none can tell what hit them. Today, hundreds of years later, there is no man called Muzan Kibutsuji. Instead there is a monster, a demon king named Muzan. Because of his deeds, his family was cursed. A part of his lineage is connected with the Yabayashiki family. They suffer because of the curse placed on them. They don't live more than 25 years, 30 if lucky or unlucky, depends on how you see it. They have a horrible skin disease. A normal fever can be far too fatal for them and they go blind as time passes on. Also, they are physically weaker than an average 8-year-old. How do they earn money? Well, they can predict the future, that's it. There is a belief that in order to get rid of this curse, Muzan must be killed. After years of research and experiments, they came to a solution. Demons can only be killed if they are beheaded by a certain type of blade called Nurchin. They can also be killed if they are brought under direct sunlight. Demon Slayer is an organization established by the Yabayashiki family many generations ago. Their sole target is to get rid of Muzan and free the world from his plague of darkness. In order to become a slayer, one must undergo serious blade training and have the recommendation from a seasoned slayer. The slayers must pass a test that is held every year. Every year, many young men and women join the corps with a view to help humanity. Demon Slayers excel in Kenjutsu or sword techniques. They use multiple breathing styles in order to enhance their strength. In the corps there are multiple ranks. Mizunodo, Mizuno, Kanodo, Kano, Tsuchinodo, Tsuchino, Hinodo, Hino, Kanodo, and Kino. Mizunodo is the lowest while Kino is the highest. However, there is a rank even higher than Kino. Hashira. The Hashiras are the strongest warriors among slayers. They are stronger than most lower moons. Currently, there are 9 Hashiras. The Hashiras also serve as an inspiration for the junior slayers. They inherit the post from their mentors. I am called the Water Hashira. As this title suggests, I use water-breathing techniques to amplify my attacks. I am assigned to a region nearby and was patrolling when I picked up the presence of demons. Hence, I came to investigate. Now you know everything. You are not a demon as I assumed earlier, but you are stronger than our strongest warrior. You say that you are a simple charcoal seller. But we both know that is not true. What are you? State your intentions. I wish to join the Demon Slayer Corps, Gyu got his answer. I can't exactly tell you how I am this strong as you will not believe me. I know that I am strong, but I need to get stronger as I have a family to protect. Muzin came for my family, sent his minions one after another. They were weak, but I am sure he has much stronger demons in his possession. That's why I need strength. He will definitely return and he will be prepared this time. Long ago, a friend of mine told me. When people are protecting something truly precious to them, they truly can become as strong as they need to be. Muzin has taken away lots of precious people from others' lives. I can't allow him to do that anymore. I am going to be the one to kill Muzin and help others. I am not gonna run away, I never go back on my word, that's my ninja way, believe it. What? In the name of God was that? The poor Water Hashira had no idea Letty had been subjected to the infamous Dark no Jutsu. Greetings Lord Sakanji Urakadaki. I have sent a boy your way who says he wants to become a demon-slaying swordsman. However, I should warn you as he is not a normal human. He claims to have encountered Muzin himself. He has superhuman strength as well as excellent reflexes. I sense something in this boy that is different from the others. Like you, the boy has a strong sense of smell. He has the strength and power to fight. But most importantly, he has the drive to fight. I believe that perhaps he could be worthy of carrying on your traditions. I believe this because despite having inhuman abilities, he wants to protect the innocent. Please, train him. I know this is a selfish request, so please forgive me. May this find you in good health and in good spirits. Sincerely yours. Utamika. Tanjiro has been searching for Sakanji since morning, but he finds no sign of the man. The old man will find him. It has become much more difficult to find the person without knowing him beforehand. There is no chakra in this world, otherwise it is a minute's work to identify the person and find them in sage mode. Convincing his family was hard. But he managed it anyway. He told them that Naruto was sent to this world for a reason, and that reason was to protect the innocents from the foul intentions of Muzin. He also told them that he could earn money by going on missions once he became a demon slayer. They protested a bit, but in the end, they were convinced. He left a lot of clones there before leaving just in case. He came to a village and asked some people about him, but no one ever heard of him. He sat under a small tree to rest in the afternoon. He took out a piece of paper from his pocket, the same piece of paper in which he had imprisoned the demons. Applying a little chakra into the paper, he released the demons. At that time, the strong light of the sun was heating up that area. As soon as the sunlight hit the demons, they started screaming. They started verbally abusing him in unspeakable language. Within seconds they turned to ashes. Naruto looked around him to see if anyone had seen him doing the deed. No one had. He sighed. One of his main reasons for wanting to join the Demon Slayer Corporation is because he doesn't have that special sword to kill demons instantly. He can't exactly throw Rasen shurikens here and there. It would draw unwanted attention. Plus, those katanas looked kinda cool. He needs money for his family too. And then there is another reason he wants to keep himself occupied. His life as Naruto is over, but the memories are still there. His beloved ones will never return. I shouldn't think about them right now. Come on, Dadabeo. Tanjiro shouted particularly at Nun. Just show up already. Man, this is such a drag. I can't wait any longer to get my own cool katana. I wish. The loud scream stopped him. He turned towards the source of it and saw a man with a tanto pointing it to a terrified old man. Give me that basket, the man ordered. The old man, who was returning home with a basket full of rice, trembled. What are you waiting for? Huh. A bandit, thought Tanjiro. He must have thought that in this small village, no one will come here to defend the weak. I guess this mentality never changes even if the dimension is different. Boy, fatso. Tanjiro called him. Who the hell are you? Huh? The bandit confused for a moment before turning his head to Tanjiro. What do you want, brat? Shoo away. Leave the old man alone, Tanjiro said as he stood up. Before I beat the hell out of you, Dadabeo. Huh, you? The man mocked. A pathetic brat like you, can you stand against me? You dare to challenge me? I'll show you your place. You leave me no choice. Tanjiro sighed before disappearing from his place and reappearing behind the man. What before the man could register what happened, he felt a sharp pain on his neck and found himself falling on the ground. Then the world became completely black. That was too easy. Tanjiro sighed again. Is everyone in this dimension this weak? That's very annoyingly boring, Dadabeo. The old man looked at him with stunt-widened eyes. He had never seen a samurai in his entire life, and he highly doubts the boy to be one. But to possess this level of speed and agility is unheard of. He may be an old farmer, but he is no fool. This kid is the real deal. You okay, old man? Tanjiro gave him a kind smile, showing his teeth with their full glory. He didn't hurt you in any way, did he? No, son. The man replied. Good. Tanjiro nodded. Nah, how about I guard all the way to your house? That's a generous offer, the man said. But I have to decline. You sure, old man? The man nodded. Alright then. Jana. Tanjiro once again disappeared from the spot. Was that an angel? He said to himself before looking at the unconscious man. But he forgot to take the thug. Tanjiro reappeared in a small clearing. The sun is out of sight already. Tanjiro looked at his surroundings. The Sakamji guy should be around here. If he is not, then Tanjiro can always teleport back home. One may wonder if he is not paranoid about his family's safety in his absence. Actually, before leaving, he left 100 clones with him. It might be a bit overkill. But then again, you could never be too cautious. There was a temple in front of him. Perhaps he could rest there for the night. Wait, he sniffed in the air. Is that blood? Human blood it is. He tried to locate the origin only to discover it to be the temple itself. Guess I can't rest. I hope it's nothing serious. Just a small injury, despite his nose telling him otherwise and informing him about the inhuman smell, he kept himself telling it. Just a small injury. He began climbing the stairs. Small injury. Small injury. The more he approached the doors, the less sane he felt. The inhuman smell was making him feel nauseous. He pushed the wooden doors, which were opened with a spooky creaking sound. Darkness and a smell greeted him. Smell of fresh human flesh and blood. Who's there? He asked, barely holding back the bile on his throat. Huh? A mid-pitched masculine voice was heard. Who are you? Another demon. This is my territory. Get away from here. Pushing chakra into his eyes, Tanjiro looked at the scene in front of him. He emptied his stomach immediately. A newbie? The man, or rather the demon, spoke with a sigh. You gotta be kidding me. A small thud sound close to him was heard afterwards. Here, consider it a gift from your senpai. Tanjiro looked at the object that had landed beside his trembling legs. His entire body felt cold. The limb. A human limb from which blood was leaking. What are you doing? Come on, don't be shy. I am being generous today. What? Tanjiro tried to speak. I am a human. Oh, I get it. You still believe that you can be human. Huh? You think by controlling the urges you can be human again, huh? Trust me, kid, it ain't possible. I speak from experience. Once you taste human flesh, you'll forget everything. This Tanjiro muttered something that the demon could not hear. Come again. The demon stood up, clearly irritated with the kid's behavior. You are going to pay for this. The boy disappeared from his spot and reappeared in front of the demon and grabbed him by his throat and lifted him a few good inches from the ground. Tanjiro was leaking so much killing intent that the demon felt suffocated. The boy's dark red eyes were locked to his own eyes, promising murder. Trying to get rid of the hand that had grabbed him by his throat, he used all his might to do so with his hands. But failed miserably. The demon spoke. What are you? You were once a human like the ones that you slaughtered right here. Tanjiro replied. Don't you have any humanity left inside you? Don't you feel any regret? Did you not ever have your own family once? These people here had their family, someone they cared for, people who loved them, people who were precious to them. Now you have taken these people away from them. You are so going to suffer, Dadabeo. Meanwhile, the demon sprouted extra hands out of his neck and tried to grab the boy and throttle him to death. But the boy showed no sign of suffocation and kept his enraged face intact. Tanjiro's body teleported away with the demon. Tsukanji could smell a young boy. Not quite normal, but Giyu mentioned the boy to be abnormal. But there was also a meat-burning smell. Assuming the boy was camping, he shrugged it off. Arriving in the area, Tsukanji saw the boy. But the boy was doing something that greatly unnerved the old man. Tell me, how do you feel? The boy asked a suffering demon. Do you still want to say that you enjoyed eating? The demon was laying on what appeared to be a bed made purely out of stone. But calling it bed would be an understatement. One should rather call it a frying pan, although the item didn't quite exist at this point of time. The demon was tied to the bed with some odd-looking thing. Wait, is that supposed to be a sun? In one hand of the boy there is a sphere like a small sun, it is shining brilliantly. It can be seen that it is very hot, but the boy is silently holding it in his hand. His hand is not burning. Sakanji was quite surprised. He did not expect anything like this. Strong sense of smell. Acceptable, inhuman physical strength. That too can be believed. But conjuring a mini-sized sun in palm? I don't see anything wrong with my eyes. Tanjiro was moving the mini-sun back and forth above the demon's body, burning the skin, flesh and everything beneath. The sun is about to rise, the boy whispered in the demon's ear. But until then, I will continue to entertain myself. The demon screamed again. Do you like it or not? Stop it now. The demon yelled. Hey kid. Who are you, old man? The boy turned. Sakanji Urakadaki. Oh, sorry sir. He smiled sheepishly. Nice to meet you. He stretched out his hand for a handshake but realized that the mini-sun inferno style Rasengan was still active on his palm. He blushed but quickly deactivated it. Seeing the boy smile, Sakanji thought his smile was more beautiful than the sun itself. But who can say that another face really exists, the one that I saw with my own eyes just a while ago? Is your name Tanjiro Kamado? Yes sir. You seem to be very busy. What kind of magic are these? These are not sorcery, but ninja arts. Ninja arts? Yes sir. Would you like to know about them? Of course, but not here, you'll tell me on the way. No sooner had the sunlight hit the area and touched the demon's body than it started to scream again, but with every ounce of his strength. The demon was reduced to ashes within seconds. Shall we begin our journey now? Sakanji asked the boy. About that, Sir Tanjiro began hesitantly. There are some dead bodies in that temple that I want to bury first. I believe everyone deserves a proper burial. True. Agreed Sakanji. Much to the awe of Sakanji, Tanjiro summoned 10 shadow clones and instructed them to dig graves for the dead, and he himself went to the temple in order to collect the bodies or whatever that remained. 5 graves were dug up within minutes as Sakanji watched in amazement. The boy did it with his own hands without any spades or tools. In no time, Tanjiro brought the bodies and the remains of the bodies into some cloth sacks. But without haste, with enough respect, he completed the burial, politely and gracefully. After that, Sakanji and Tanjiro set out for the former Water Hashira's home. Sakanji was running very fast. Tanjiro was running along with him without gaining a single sweat. Sakanji hid his overwhelmed look behind his mask. Where did the boy learn this? Thought Sakanji as he observed everything. These are not possible for a normal person. What's more, no magician I've seen in my life can do this kind of magic. So who is this boy? It is certain that the boy is not a demon, but his physical strength is several times that of a normal human. It is impossible for a normal human to defeat a monster in an instant. Why am I still counting him as a normal human? Sakanji continued to tell his story as Tanjiro continued on his way. The more Sakanji spends time with the boy, the more he is impressed by the boy's way of speaking, demeanor and calmness. He was more surprised to hear about the boy's previous life, or according to him the life of the great ninja warrior Naruto. The boy's words sound unbelievable, but after seeing so much evidence in front of his eyes, he no longer feels disbelief. They reached Mount Sajiri after a couple of hours of sprinting. Sakanji took him to the top of the mountain and he himself returned to the hut after telling Tanjiro to come back by dodging all the obstacles. Upon being asked a reason, Sakanji explained that it was a test. Needless to say, the boy returned within 2 minutes 30 seconds after he himself was returned. Tanjiro was completely unscathed. Of course the old man was not astonished as he was fully expecting such a result. Teaching such an already skilled war veteran is absolutely worth it. So without any further thought he accepted Tanjiro as his new pupil. Muzin's days were now numbered. Sakanji trained Tanjiro very hard. Of course, these are nothing in front of Gai-sensei's training. Despite being a skilled and experienced warrior, Naruto's sword skills were of no use against this old man. Much to the protest of Tanjiro, Sakanji first of all gave him history lessons. Then he explained the breathing styles and their origin, the sun breathing technique. Sakanji taught him how to grip a blade in the perfect way, as well as how to hold it. Sakanji gave him a scroll containing the water breathing techniques. It was a blue checkered black colored scroll with a wooden roll. Tanjiro memorized it within a month. Water breathing techniques by Sakanji Urakadaki. First form. Water surface lash. The user releases a singular horizontal slash aiming to decapitate their target. Second form. Water wheel. The user leaps forward into the air and performs a front flip, releasing a singular vertical slash in a circular motion. Second form. Improved, lateral water wheel. An alternate variation of second form. Water wheel created by that unleashes a horizontal spin instead of a vertical one. Tanjiro developed it all by himself. Third form. Flowing dance. The user swings and bends their blade in a winding motion along with their body and dances in a flowing pattern, slicing everything in its path. Fourth form. Striking tide. The user performs a multitude of slashes in a flowing fashion to release multiple consecutive slashes. Fifth form. Blessed Rain after the drought. The user changes the grip on their sword and decapitates the opponent in a single flowing strike that causes little to no pain. It is a sword strike of kindness used when the enemy willingly surrenders. Sixth form. Whirlpool. The user twists their body, using their blade to perform a fierce whirling motion, which generates a whirlpool of air to shred apart anything caught within its current like a giant sharp blade. Its effect and efficiency is enhanced underwater, where the user can draw water around their weapon to create whirling currents that enhance their slashes. Seventh form. Drop Ripple Thrust. The user performs a precise, fast and accurate thrust with their blade. Eighth form. Waterfall Basin. The user cuts the target vertically in a flowing motion which is most effective when they are falling downward. Ninth form. Splashing Water Flow, Turbulent. The user changes their footwork in a way that minimizes the landing time and surface needed when landing, allowing the user to move without limits. Ideal when fighting in a place with no solid foothold. 10th form. Constant Flux. The user charges toward the target whilst performing a continuous flowing attack with their blade, which increases in strength and speed over time using momentum. 11th form. Dead Calm, the personal creation of the current water Hashira, Gyutomioka. The user ceases all body movements and enters a state of complete tranquility, deflecting, blocking and cutting any incoming attacks with imperceptible speed with their blade. However, its effectiveness is limited as fast and numerous attacks can break through. Never hesitate to create your own techniques. If you ever create any, I would be glad to add them here. The old man taught Tanjiro how he could increase his lung capacity without using chakra. According to Sakanji, lung capacity was vital for breathing techniques. In water, Tanjiro can hold his breath for 2 minutes without moving. But when he is moving, the time drops down to half a minute. Speaking of Sakanji Urakadaki, the man was quite straightforward. Despite never seeing his face, Tanjiro firmly believed that the man kept a strict look on his face. The former water Hashira never once showed Tanjiro his face. Whenever they ate together, the man would simply lift the bottom of his mask and use chopsticks to supply food in his mouth. The exercises Tanjiro had to undergo were simple yet extremely difficult. Swinging sword for 1,000 times a day, feeling the water as a part of you by standing under a waterfall, and the list went on and on. Urakadaki threatened him that if Tanjiro damaged the katana even a little bit, he would break every single bone in his body. Tanjiro hopes he will not die at the end of his training with the old man. Naruto no longer had the fit and strong muscular body he once had. Naruto was very skilled in martial arts, but Tanjiro's juvenile body was having a hard time adjusting to the new memories. And no matter how much effort was made, it was not possible to grow a body like a ninja, because the body structure of the people of that world is very different from the body structure of the people of this world. That's why Tanjiro regularly tried to increase his physical abilities as much as possible by using chakra. Much to the relief of Tanjiro, he could still use the ninja techniques that Naruto was able to do before. Tanjiro made a list of them. Shadow Clone Technique. Multi-Shadow Clone Technique. Blind Style. Rasengan. Blind Style. Rasen Shuriken. Inferno Style. Rasengan. Sage Techniques. It gives him unrivaled sensory abilities and unparalleled strength. It also enhances his other techniques' power. Uzumaki Naruto Barrage. Substitution Technique. It's going to be one of the deadly jutsu in the shinobi world known as 1,000 Years of Death. Arin Naruto's favorite jutsu. Harem no Jutsu. Hawk no Jutsu. Tanjiro had more techniques, but he didn't add them. He was a bit skeptical whether he should include the last 3 or not in the list, but despite their unconventionalness, they're undoubtedly useful, hence he included them anyway. Kakashi even ranked them each as an A rank jutsu, except for the final one, which was ranked as an S rank forbidden jutsu. He didn't possess 1,000 techniques in his arsenal like Kakashi or Hiruzen, but he was regarded at a higher level than them. Naruto lived for less than 40 years, but didn't learn many ninja techniques. However, he didn't need to learn too much as he was a perfectionist when it came to ninja arts and could use his techniques to their fullest potential. Although he made many variations of his father's Rasengan after he perfected it. He occasionally tried to feel the natural energy with his shadow clones by meditating. There is no such thing as chakra here, but there is natural energy. The natural energy here is strong enough, stronger than the ninja world in fact. The reason why he believed such a thing is easy enough to understand. This world probably has no chakra users. So, there are no mixtures of multiple types of chakra. Also, there is no question of having foul chakra such as Otsutsuki's chakra, Black and White Zetsu's chakra, Orochimaru's Cursed Seal's chakra, Tailed Beast's demonic chakra, and so on to pollute the nature chakra to reduce its potential. He noticed that whenever he activated Sage Mode, instead of toad-like features appearing on his eyes and eyelids, his eyes turned into a glowing scarlet color, along with a beautiful deep blood red sunflower markade appearing on either side of his eye. It looked pretty cool in his opinion. The blade had firstly become little more than a blur. Now one could see nothing, simply nothing. Tanjiro's grip muscles were very strong now, he could easily crush a pebble in his hand without any chakra included. Tsukanji humorously dubbed this inhuman strength as mountain crushing fist. Did the man crack a joke? Yeah, he did. Tanjiro didn't think the man had it in him though. A chakra-infused punch would be enough to shake a mountain, but not destroy it. He was no Tsunade Sakura. But a Rasen Shuriken would be more than strong enough to obliterate an entire valley of mountains. Of course no one needed to know that. Speaking of knowing how much one should learn, he carefully avoided telling others about his more destructive powers. They knew that he could make copies of himself, he had super strength, had super speed, could shapeshift, could manipulate fire, soil, water, air and a little lightning. No one needed to see the full list lest they should faint. Tsukanji was very pleased with the boy's progress. At the rate he was training, he would soon be ready for the final selection exam. The boy was cheerful, but he couldn't help but notice the obvious pain in his eyes. The boy worked too much, way too much. It almost seemed like he was trying to keep himself busy. Urokodaki hoped that the boy's pain would soon be gone. As the year came to an end, Tanjiro decided to visit his family. He asked the old man's permission, and he said it was okay. Tanjiro offered Urokodaki to celebrate the new year with him. At first the man didn't want to go, but upon being insisted continuously, he decided that he would go with Tanjiro. Tanjiro, along with Urokodaki, set out for his home and reached there within half a day. The whole place was filled up with Tanjiro's clones and were helping out the Kamado family in pretty much everything. Some of them even had jobs in the small town below the mountain. Despite so many Tanjiros around, the Kamado family shared a long family hug with the eldest Kamado sibling. His mother even prepared his favorite food ramen, even though the ingredients to make it were quite expensive. Urokodaki was surprised to see the family welcoming him with respect despite him being an outsider. Although the younger kids made fun of his mask. Then came the most important and interesting part, Hinokami Kagura, which Tanjiro performed from dusk to dawn. The dance was amazing. Urokodaki had heard about it from Tanjiro before, but seeing it live was something else. The odd similarity between the dance and breathing techniques didn't fail to catch his attention. He wondered if the Kamado family had some connection with demon slayers. The next day, Tanjiro and Urokodaki agreed that it was high time they returned. The Kamado siblings cried a lot when Tanjiro informed them he will not be back for a few months. But he consoled them that they could communicate with him by his shadow clones. His mother was not crying, she was rather happy for him, which was evident from her motherly smile she gave before saying him goodbye. Tsukanji, after training Tanjiro for 4 months, revealed that he had nothing to teach the boy. The final selection is going to be held in 2 months from now. Students of professional demon slayers would go there to take exams. For 7 days one must survive in a mountain where there are many demons of various kinds. Whoever survives there for 7 days will be given the title of Demon Slayer. Tsukanji told Tanjiro that he would only allow him to participate in the final exam if he can pass his final exam. When asked what kind of test, Tsukanji took Tanjiro to a place in the mountain where a huge round stone was kept. The old man told him to cut the boulder in half using a sword, but without the help of chakra. The boy was perplexed for a moment. The task was difficult but not impossible. He accepted the challenge. Tanjiro Kamado swung the sword. Tanjiro trained day and night to get the task done. He swung the sword as fast as he could but to no avail. He worked until he fell on his knees and started panting. It took him a month to realize that it was not as easy, and it seemed to be at first. Tanjiro swung the blade once again. He sweated as he practiced, but could not cut the stone. The Naruto part of his mind had never been this tired ever since coming here. Tanjiro's body was not strong enough for him. His stamina was good, but not great. He could do it using chakra with little effort. By using Sage Mode, he can break the stone effortlessly, but in either case, chakra would be used. Tanjiro swung the katana once again. Finally, not being able to take it anymore, he collapsed on the ground on his knees. He began to breathe heavily. That is when he heard a voice. "You seem tired," he looked back, a girl, younger than Nezuko, wearing a bright dress and a fox mask over her head, said. "You are not doing it in the right way." "Who are you?" The girl was clearly a swordswoman as she had a katana tied to her waist. "I am Mikomo," she smiled. "A student of Urokodaki-sensei. Never saw you before. I am Tanjiro Kamado, pleased to meet you." "Pleased to meet you too, Tanjiro-san." She came close to him. "I see that you are trying to complete sensei's final test. It is so difficult, but what should I do?" "You see him over there?" She pointed towards the woods. Tanjiro looked that way and spotted a boy hiding his face behind a white fox mask, wearing an orange checkered green haori with a katana tied to his waist. How could I not sense him? How could I not sense either of them? Perhaps I am too tired. They don't seem to have any malicious intent anyway. Now that I come to think of it, their aura, it's so bright. As if they are part of nature. Perhaps they have reached a certain degree of mastery of some kind of stealth art. That's Obito. The girl said. He doesn't talk much. I've noticed how many of you are there. 19. How come I have never seen you before? We have our methods. She replied mysteriously. Anyways, Sabito there wishes to help you train. But I don't want to cause you distress. Oh, don't worry about it. Really? That would be very kind of you. Tanjiro bowed a perfect 90-degree. The masked boy came from the shadows and wordlessly brought his sword up and took an offensive stance. Let's have an honorable spar, Dadabeo. The fight was anything but honorable. It never was honorable. In the end of the spar, Tanjiro had a few broken ribs, along with some serious bruises. The boy didn't pull any of his punches, kicks or attacks. He was a sadistic guy. But the Tanjiro part was too nice to retort. Instead, every time he would smile brightly at the masked boy and say, that was an honorable spar, senpai. On their 15th day, Tanjiro could notice the masked boy was getting irritated due to the lack of Tanjiro's improvement. You lack resolve. The masked swordsman spoke for the first time as Tanjiro was again panting heavily on the ground. You are too weak. Too weak to fight, too easy to die. I am sorry to disappoint you, senpai. Tanjiro said sadly between his pants. No. The masked boy suddenly shouted and grabbed Tanjiro by his collar, lifting him a foot above the ground, and shouted again. You fight with your heart when you are out of physical energy. When you don't have a reason to grow, your heart dies as well as your body. Tell me, what is your inspiration? Do you even have one or not? Tanjiro began, this time Naruto Uzumaki took the steering wheel. I was too weak to be there for my family when they needed me, so I lost them. I don't want to lose my family again. Then you have to get stronger. Come on. Show me your resolve. Okay senpai, Tanjiro took the legendary Mido guy stance and quoted a legendary line of Naruto Uzumaki. I'll show you what a true resolve is. The spirit felt a shiver down his non-existent spine. The fight was brutal for both sides. Tanjiro used every water-breathing technique he learned in order to overwhelm his senpai. But the masked boy had either inhuman stamina or he was simply way too experienced. Whenever Tanjiro tried to overpower Sabito, the boy simply vanished. It was odd. Tanjiro used all the moves he knew, but none of them worked. Finally, seeing no other way, he decided to get unpredictable. He used random moves to overwhelm the older boy. It was ineffective at first, but soon it actually worked. Sabito, who was using a wooden sword, was gracefully countering all of Naruto's attacks. The masked boy was very fast. Tanjiro used the third form, which didn't work. Fourth form. Didn't work. First form wait that isn't the first form he is using the third form. Sabito prepared to counter the attack, only to receive a knee hit on his guts. That caught Sabito off guard, and Tanjiro swung his sword. The masked boy was shocked as his mask fell on the ground as two separate parts. Tanjiro saw the boy's face for the first time. He had a stunned expression on his face. The older boy had an old rough wound mark on his right cheek. Senpai Tanjiro rushed towards him, the older boy had a shocked expression, and Tanjiro was worried if he had injured his senpai. But as soon as he reached his senpai, the older boy evaporated in thin air, and Tanjiro saw the boulder, which was cleaved in half. I did it. He stiffened. He turned his head to see Mikamo smiling and a faint line of smile curved on his lips who was standing next to Sabito. Wait. When did he reach there? I guess he is simply too fast. Tanjiro looked back and saw his masked sensei standing. You did it. Well, I had great help. Thanks to Tanjiro began sheepishly. I never thought you would be able to do it without chakra. The old man said as he inspected the stone. Guess I was wrong. Wait I never what does that mean? It seems that it is time I tell you the truth. He began. I had many students whom I sent to the final selection. But they never returned, save for Giyu. I thought by giving you an impossible task to complete, I could still have you alive. Tanjiro didn't reply. He had none. He could relate such a thing. Pervy sage, Kakashi. But now, Sakanji snapped him out of his thoughts. I believe in you completely. You are going to triumph, I know it. Tanjiro Kamado, I, Sakanji Urakadaki, as your mentor, nominate you for the final selection exam. May Kami bless you. Arigato, sensei. He was promptly hugged by the overjoyed boy. I promise you that I won't let you down. I never go back on my word, that is my ninja way, Dadabeo. Mount Fujikasane, a place filled up with demons. Slayers from all over Japan bring demons and trap them here. Due to the presence of wisteria flowers, demons cannot leave this place. Thus, demons ranging from the weakest ones to those of lower moon level are trapped here. Most of the demons captured are relatively weak and have only killed up to 2 or 3 people, presenting enough of a challenge for candidates to test their skills. However, there was one example of an abnormally strong demon that managed to kill and devour over 50 candidates for decades. As the mountain came to his view, Tanjiro recalled his conversation with his teacher he had last night. "Sensei," he asked Sakanji, who was looking for something in the cupboard. "What do you want to give me?" Sakanji turned towards him and held something for him. Tanjiro took and looked at it. "As you can see, this is a fox mask. I have a hobby of making aesthetics from woods, surely you have noticed. I give my students this mask when they set out for the final selection exam. I call it the warding mask imbued with a powerful spell. Its purpose is to safeguard them from harm and invoke the mountain god's protection, ensuring their safe return from the daunting challenges of the final selection." Ah. Tanjiro said cheerfully. "This is the mask Sabito-senpai and Makoma wear all the time." If Sakanji wasn't wearing a mask, Tanjiro would have seen a horrified expression on his sensei's face. They have been dead for several years, he thought. Perhaps they have chosen him, as Sakanji didn't say anything to Tanjiro about that. Instead, he simply asked, "I see, what did they tell you?" Makomo-san did most of the talking. Tanjiro looked thoughtful for a moment. "Senpai is not much of a talker. But I am eternally grateful to them, especially Sabito-senpai, who helped me train for the final selection. He is a great teacher, not like you of course, he." "Tanjiro-kun, listen," Sakanji said with a serious tone. "There is something I want you to know. Many years ago, I captured a demon and trapped it on Mount Fujikase. Over the years, the demon kept devouring children who came to participate in the exam. To this date, it holds a grudge against me. So in order to hurt me, he kills my students. Promise me, you will return, no matter what." "I will," Tanjiro replied instantly. Sakanji patted his head with affection. As Tanjiro was leaving, he told his trainer to thank Sabito and Makomo and ran off to the final selection exam. Urakadaki Sakanji didn't say anything. It took Tanjiro 6 hours to reach there from Sakanji's hut without using chakra. He was wearing a white checkered blue haori with a fox mask identical to the one Sabito and Makomo wear all the time. He had a sword having the same design as his haori tied with his waist. He waited for a few hours before he was summoned. At nightfall, he, along with the rest of the candidates, were instructed to ascend the stairs leading to the mountaintop shrine and await the commencement of the event. Nearly 20 young swordsmen usually participate in each iteration, it was no exception this time. Kariya Yabayashiki and Kanada Yabayashiki, representing the Yabayashiki family, act as the event organizers. They were wearing purple kimonos, and the funny thing was you couldn't tell which one was a male and which was a female. But Tanjiro easily figured out which was which thanks to his inhuman smelling ability. Together they began to brief the candidates on the rules. The exam entails surviving 7 consecutive nights on the mountaintop, relying solely on their own resources without external assistance. Candidates who manage to survive all 7 nights successfully are granted the opportunity to join the esteemed ranks of the Demon Slayer Corps as official Demon Slayers. The newly inducted Demon Slayers are also given the opportunity to select their preferred ore for their Nichiren sword, which will be crafted by skilled swordsmiths and delivered to them 2 weeks later. Additionally, each member is assigned a Kasugai Crow, a messenger essential for communication with the Corps. The final selection begins, the boy began. Now. The girl finished. The candidates ran towards the forested part of the mountain. It has been 3 days since the final selection began. In that time a good number of demons were slayed by Tanjiro. Whenever he met a fellow candidate, he simply helped them by killing the demons that faced them. He would never let his comrades die. That's what Kakashi taught him. No demon was strong enough to last more than a few seconds against him save for the hand demon who was enraged after seeing his unique haori and fox mask. "That fox mask," the demon said, not moving his gaze from Tanjiro. "You are Sakanji Urakadaki's student, aren't you? So you are the one who killed sensei's other students?" Tanjiro said coldly. "That's right," exclaimed the demon. "So he has sent another of his brats, huh?" He brought out a hand. 5, he paused before bringing out another hand. 10, another hand. 11, and another hand. 12 and 13. "I have already devoured 13 of his precious students. Which means you are number 14. So you have killed them. You have been killing his students for 47 years. 47 years. The demon's eyes twitched. "What era are we in?" "Patient period," Tanjiro replied. "An era has already passed." The demon's eyes widened in anger and frustration. "I'll kill you, Gaki. My only regret would be that I won't be able to see the look on Urakadaki's face when another of his students won't return. You don't seem much tough anyway. I had once met a tough one. He had pinkish orange hair and a scar on his cheek. He was very strong. But he ultimately died protecting others. There was also another one, a girl, wearing a flower-patterned pink kimono. She wasn't strong, but very agile. Regardless of her speed, I managed to catch her. And then I detached her limbs, one by one. Meanwhile, Tanjiro was having a turmoil of thoughts in his mind. I met them, I talked with them, were they Mikomo-san, Sabito-senpai, I will avenge you. Tanjiro recalled his master's words about the demon, so he had made his mind on avenging his master's late students. He expected the overconfident demon to be defeated within 30 seconds. Whenever he tried to behead the demon, it simply covered its neck and throat with its cluster of hands. Those hands were very hard to cut through. Naruto thought if he should use chakra or not, but decided to use his physical strength and speed only. You're very fast. The demon laughed. Faster than that girl and boy. But you can't cut through my hands. No matter how he swung the sword, he couldn't defeat the hand demon. He jumped as he felt hands sprouting out of the ground in clusters. Hands were everywhere and he couldn't reach the head. Meanwhile, the demon kept taunting him. It took him 2 minutes to realize something. It turned out he was unable to defeat the demon because he forgot to use any breathing techniques. He mentally cursed himself before using the move water breathing. First form. Water surface slash and beheading it. The beheaded demon was screaming bloody murder as Tanjiro approached him. How is this even possible? He stammered. No blade is strong enough to go through my defense. It wasn't the blade, Tanjiro replied bluntly. The blade wasn't strong enough, that is true. However, it was my emotion that ended you. The fading demon looked at him with wide eyes. Seeing this, Tanjiro gave him a sad smile. You were a victim of a demon. May you be forgiven and have a beautiful afterlife. Before the demon's head fully disappeared, it shed a few beads of tears. Naruto, however, was very disappointed as he expected a little more. He was too strong for this world. Even the strongest demon, Muzan, was afraid of him. So yeah, his life is boring. Well, at least he avenged Sabito and Mikomo. After his victory against the hand demon, he continued moving in every direction in the search of more demons. The next thing he did was find a source of water. Fortunately, there was a river running down the mountain, so he only needed to stay near it, and water wouldn't be an issue, and there were even some fish there, so he could take care of the food problem as well. Tanjiro would then wake up with a little time of sunlight left and would use them to hunt down demons. The second night, he realized that having a campsite was a bad idea, as 4 different demons attempted to attack him together. They didn't pose that much of a threat, but if more demons attacked him together, he could end up overwhelmed by sheer numbers, so when the sun came up again, he used the time to move up the river, so any demons that saw him the night before wouldn't find him in the same place. The third night was uneventful. A few demons came to kill him, but were dead before they could even launch an attack. He killed 4 demons he had found inside a cave on the 4th day. And as the 5th night began, he noticed something very strange. There were neither demons nor humans in the forest. He had a bad feeling about this. The 6th and 7th day passed and he had not encountered any demons. So at the end of the week, he went to the assembly ground. Welcome back. 2 voices spoke in perfect unison as the boy and girl that explained the final selection a week ago walked to stand in front of the small shrine. A table was set up with a light purple blanket covering something on top of it. Congratulations. The girl said. We're pleased to see that you are safe. The girl and the boy spoke in turn. You guys send children to fight with demons with a very possibility that they may not return, and you say you are glad we are safe. Ha, talk about hypocrisy. Speaking of we, where is everyone else? Thought Tanjiro. First, we shall issue you a uniform. The white-haired girl began. We will take your measurements, after which your ranks will be engraved. There are 10 ranks in all, the black-haired boy continued. Hino, the girl said first. Hinoto. Hino. Hinoto. Tsuchino. Tsuchinoto. Hano. Hinoto. Mizuno. And Mizunoto. The boy finished. Currently, you are at the lowest rank, Mizunoto. The girl informed him. Ah, Tanjiro raised his hand. Can I ask a question? Yes. Why am I the only one here? Is everyone else dead? They shared a glance for a brief moment before the boy asking, you really don't have any idea, do you? No. He shook his head. No one died, Kamado-san. Actually, you have somehow managed to kill all the demons over the week. Thus, no candidate was able to demonstrate his or her skills. Therefore, no one but you passed the test. It is rare, no, it has never happened before. Say what? Tanjiro's sweat dropped. Those demons were pretty weak, Dadabeo. I messed it all up. He let out a sigh. Today, we will let you choose the ore for your swords, the boy resumed. But, your swords will take 10 to 15 days to complete. At first the white-haired girl clapped her hands twice and suddenly he heard the sound of wings flapping. A moment later a bird descended from the sky landing on top of Tanjiro's shoulder was a Mori no Imsei or forest fairy. It was a small bird and had multiple colors. Red, black, brown, white, green and cobalt blue. Its beak was charcoal black, while it had deep black eyes. "You have your own Kasugai crow now," the girl said. "Kasugai crow?" Tanjiro spoke as he pointed at his bird. "Either I have gone insane or this is a crow disguised as a pretty bird." "I am no crow in disguise," the bird said as it slowly flapped its wings. "Thank you for the compliment by the way." "Welcome." Tanjiro was not surprised at all. Naruto had been talking with animals for decades, animals much weirder, bigger and emotionally sensitive. However, he was thinking, how did they get such a rare bird? These Kasugai crows are used primarily for communication. Did the girl just ignore his question? "Now then, please select an ore," he said after walking to stand at the side of the table. "The steel for the sword that will annihilate demons and protect you will be of your own choosing." "They're asking me to choose an ore, but how am I supposed to pick one out?" Tanjiro thought. "I've never seen an ore before and I can't tell the difference anyway. Should I just pick one at random?" Tanjiro wondered when his nose picked up on something. Out of all the ores on that table, one had a scent that he found more pleasant than the rest. He was not completely sure if this meant it's better, but his sense of smell had never led him to wrong. "This one, please." He pointed at the ore with his finger. The swordsmith, who was standing next to him, wearing an odd-looking mask said, "A good choice, lad. I know just the man who will be fit to make your blade." "Thank you, sir." Tanjiro bowed. A few minutes later he came down from the mountain and looked at the sky. "I am coming back, everyone," he thought. In an unknown dark room of an unknown location, we find two figures. Ibayashiki-sama, a man in the dark room bowed. "What news do you bring from the final selection?" The other occupant of the room asked as he sipped from a cup of tea. "Do we have promising slayers this time?" "About that. Why do you hesitate? There is only one who passed." "Oh?" The man frowned. "Yes, apparently, a boy named Tanjiro Kamado slayed all the demons and no one else even got the chance to show their skills. That is unconventional." "Indeed, sir. That boy effortlessly managed to kill every single demon on Mount Fujikase. This is the same boy who is apprenticed by Urakadaki-san, isn't it?" The other man nodded. "Yes, my lord. The boy possesses inhuman strength and reflexes. According to the letter Lord Urakadaki sent you, the boy is the transmigrant of a warrior from a separate world. The boy also has some techniques unique to him and him only." Tanjiro Kamado, the man, Ibayashiki, smiled as he sipped tea once more from the cup. How interesting. It took another 6 hours for Tanjiro to reach Urakadaki's hut. The old man was so glad to see him that he hugged the young man and actually cried. "I am glad that you returned safely," he said. "I didn't use any chakra as you instructed me, sensei," Tanjiro said. Urakadaki ruffled his hair with affection. Tanjiro told him everything about his experience in Mount Fujikase and Hand Demon. Sakanji was amazed how he was able to slay all the demons of the mountain. He told Tanjiro that Ibayashiki, the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps, was looking forward to meeting Tanjiro. Tanjiro asked Urakadaki's permission for visiting his family, which the old man graciously granted. Tanjiro, once again, insisted to the old man that he should come with him, but Urakadaki declined the offer. Tanjiro stayed 2 days at his master's house before setting out for his home. He told Urakadaki that he will be back in 10 days. Before he set off for his home, he went to the place where he trained with Sabito. The boulder was there. But neither Sabito nor Mikomo were present there. Come to think of it, they never came to him when he was at 100%. They only appeared when he was exhausted. Sabito even told him not to use chakra in their spar. According to him, it is cheating. But he also said that using chakra against a friend in spar is cheating, not against demons in life-threatening situations. It makes sense. "Senpai," he spoke. "Mikomo-san, I have avenged you." He bowed. "Thank you for training and staying with me all this time. You have helped me to become a better swordsman, and now I perfectly understand what it means to be a demon slayer now, and I will never forget what you did for me. Rest in peace, my friends." And with that, he turned and started to walk away. If he had looked back, he would have seen almost 20 children standing in the woods, fading away with an identical smile on each face. "No, Tanjiro," Sabito softly said as he was fading away. "Thank you." "Ani-chan," shouted an excited Nezuko, who was sewing something sitting on the doorstep as she saw him. "Nezuko?" Tanjiro gave her his best smile. "Wait, how did she distinguish me from the rest of my clones? Does she have a special sensory ability too? Maybe it is because of my different attire. How has been my favorite sibling?" he asked as he hugged her and regretted it instantly. "We mean nothing to you?" Hinako, who was sitting beside their mother on a futon, said as she sniffed. He became nervous. He teleported right next to her and brought her into a bone-crushing hug. There. Sorry, Hanako-chan, I didn't mean it. Slip of tongue, Dadabeo. Then. Can't the poor girl struggled. Breathe. Oops. Sorry, Hanako-chan. He bowed a perfect 90-degree, but hitting the girl on her temple in the process. Please. Tanjiro. He heard his mother shouting. What are you doing? Tanjiro looked at his unconscious sister and paled. He got down on his knees and immediately started to treat her with medical chakra. Sakura taught him basic medical techniques after the 4th Great Shinobi War. According to her, a kage must possess all sorts of knowledge. You never know when you need what. I am very sorry. I'm a crazy big idiot. Big crazy. Tanjiro continued. Big brother, I'm fine. Hanako said as she sat up. Like mom, we all have hard foreheads. Can we be unconscious so easily? You will need a hammer to knock us out. The girl gave a small smile. True. He smiled sheepishly. He turned to his mother who was inspecting him from top to bottom. Ah mom. You can stop doing that. I am fine. It looks like your Akadaki-san has taken good care of your diet. Kai stopped at Tanjiro's face and cupped his cheeks with her hands and kissed on his forehead. I missed you so much. Me too, mom. Welcome home, son. After eating about 5 bowls of ramen, Tanjiro made a low noise so that no one could hear. But luckily, his youngest brother Rakuda overheard and imitated him, which made the rest of his family laugh for quite some time. When he finished eating, he took out some things from his bag and placed them on the ground. I brought you some presents. They are not that expensive, I'm sorry. He said. I got some money for being a demon slayer. Once I start getting missions I will get more money. Come on, Ani-chan, said Nezuko. You don't need to bring gifts for us. We don't want anything from you. We just want you to be happy. Well, Tanjiro smiled. Seeing you happy makes me happy. Now, back to the gifts. He brought some kimonos for his mom and sisters, which they gladly accepted. For each of his siblings, he brought some pen and books containing primary knowledge that everyone ought to know. He said that his clones will teach them how to read and write. They were awestruck at the quantity of gifts. Plus they were not cheap at all. The books should cost more than they could afford a few months ago. This was unnecessary, retorted Nezuko. You shouldn't have brought so many things. Yes, dear, agreed their mother. These books are very costly. I doubt we could afford them a few months ago. Some candies or sweets would have been fine. You know, Tanjiro became thoughtful for a moment. When I was in Konoha, I grew up as an orphan. I had no one who could teach me how to read and write. So I had to learn everything all by myself, but it was never enough. In the end, when I became an adult, I struggled a lot with paperwork and finances. It was simply because I lacked my basic knowledge of pretty much everything. So when I had kids, Boruto and Himawari, I brought these exact same kinds of books for them. So these might be a little expensive, but compared to the memories and the value of them, they are definitely not unnecessary, believe it. The other occupants of the room remained silent for a moment, looking at the watery eyes of the eldest Kamado sibling, or responsible guardian. If that's what you think is right, Nezuko finally said with a smile. We will believe you. Tanjiro smiled back. Yeah, Ani-chan. Hanako said cheerfully. We will study. Hi. Shigeru said as Takeo nodded. The youngest Kamado sibling clapped at the enthusiasm. Thanks guys. Tanjiro stood up. Yosh. Who's up for studying? Immediately all the enthusiasm was gone. Kai Kamado giggled at the scene. Tanjiro resumed his duties of charcoal selling. The residents of the town were so happy to see him that it took only 3 hours for all his goods to be sold out. He was greeted by everyone whether they bought charcoal or not. Tanjiro went to the town 5 times before Nezuko insisted she should go instead of him. During his stay at home, Tanjiro taught his siblings a lot of things, such as arithmetic, the most basic history of Japan and most importantly how to read. Nezuko and Takeo progressed the most in maths and history. Hanako and Shigeru struggled with maths and history respectively, but they were able to grasp most of the Japanese alphabets. Rakuda was simply too young to learn anything, but Kai took the responsibility of teaching him. In her youth, she learned a thing or two from her parents, thus she took no time learning everything. Tanjiro taught his sisters how to sew sweaters from wool. She had a knack for making sweaters which impressed everyone. Nezuko thought that it would be a great idea to sew sweaters and to sell them in the town. It was not the winter season, but it was cold nonetheless, thus it was actually a good idea. Tanjiro brought some wool from the town and gave her the raw materials. She could make 3 sweaters per day, which was damn impressive. Their mother also seemed interested in the business, thus she joined Nezuko in making sweaters. It turned out that she could make 4 to 5 per day, which encouraged Nezuko to hone her skills further. Tanjiro showed his siblings the basics of the hummingbird taijutsu style. Takeo excelled at it as he was quite energetic unlike others. Tanjiro decided that he would give his clones the task of mentoring them, as his time with them was coming to an end. Before heading back to Urakadaki, Tanjiro gave each family member a wooden kunai, on which his previous life's father, Minato Namikaze's Flying Thunder God formula was written. He told them to rip the formula off whenever they needed him, and he would come to aid immediately. He got this idea from Urakadaki's passion for wood art. So he had been making these kunais ever since he saw the old man making things out of wood. Tanjiro shared a long family hug before heading back to his sensei. The special katana along with his uniform should be arriving in 2 days. It's time to save some people and slay some demons. He is not only a shinobi, but a slayer too. So he is a shinobi who slays. The Ganizuka was a strange man. He didn't show any courtesy talking to Urakadaki, who was once the water pillar, let alone to Tanjiro. The man wore a strange mask with a piece of cloth covering his hair. He was well built, a man in his 30s, but the odd mask and the way he spoke made him look like a clown. The people who make Nurchin blades living in a secret village wear these masks to conceal their true identity. Come on. The man yelled at them as he was standing in front of Urakadaki's hut. Take the sword. I want to see a bright red color this time. Color? Tanjiro asked in confusion. Despite being a promising and highly talented demon slayer, he was still Naruto, someone who was not the brightest man in the room. What does color have to do with the blade? You don't know? Higanetsuka yelled harder. What kind of demon slayer are you, huh? I am sorry, sir. Tanjiro bowed, making the already furious man more angry. I am not familiar with most of the terms about the Demon Slayer Corporation. When a Nurchin blade is held by a demon slayer, it changes color. Red is said to be the luckiest and most powerful one. Come on, Higanetsuka continued yelling. Tsukanji let out a silent sigh before saying, Higanetsuka-san, please come in. Alright, the man said as he stepped in. But I don't have all day. Let's finish it quickly, I want to see my blade turning red. He said the final line with great belief. The man handed the item to Tanjiro. The sword is light, though a little heavier than the one he used before. The boy removed the red patched cloth from the sword. He unsheathed the sword from the scabbard. The handle is like a round disc. It has a black and red design. He held the handle and lifted it a little and waited for the so-called color change. 10 seconds. 30 seconds. 1 full minute. The desired red color did not come. Why is it not changing color? Are you not even a demon slayer? Tell me. Tell me. You are a disappointment. You hear me, you are a disappointment. You are a disappointment. Higanetsuka yelled as he firmly gripped Tanjiro's haori and shook the boy violently. Tanjiro looked not only perplexed, but also sad. Calm down, Tsukanji said, clearly irritated. Higanetsuka let the boy go. Something has changed, but I don't understand what has changed, remarked Tanjiro. Give it to me, Tsukanji took the katana in his hand. He is a seasoned swordsman, hence he is familiar with almost all sorts of blades, thus he might have an idea about this case. Tsukanji took a good look at the thing from behind the mask. Then without saying a word, Tanjiro put the sword back in his hand and stood up, closing them one by one, darkening the room. Later it was seen what the change was. The color of the sword has changed, and that color is white, bright white, radiating a dim light in the dark. Tanjiro was a bit shocked, he hadn't predicted such a result. Why is this shining? He finally asked. While there have been white-colored Ninchin blades, there has never been a shining one, said Tsukanji as he sat next to Tanjiro. Higanetsuka said. It is not a red color, but at least it is better than nothing. Sensei, Tanjiro said. What exactly does a white color mean? It means happiness and a bright future for the wielder. That's so cool. He paused. May I channel some chakra into my sword? Experimenting, huh? Tsukanji said as he thought for a moment. You may. Tanjiro then channeled some chakra into his sword. No sooner had he done it than it turned a very bright red color. It was so bright that the semi-dark room was illuminated completely by it. It's a red, exclaimed Higanetsuka. It's the red. No, Tsukanji said as he marveled at the beauty of the blade. It's not red, but scarlet. It's much brighter than red. Plus, it's shining. Well, old man, I don't see the difference, it looks red to me. Sensei, Tanjiro said, turning his head towards Urakadaki. What does this mean? Usually red represents good luck and indicates that the wielder of the blade is extremely strong. However, since it is not exactly red, I cannot tell what it means. Still, I believe it to be a good sign, replied Tsukanji. Now everyone will respect. Really, sensei? Exclaimed Tanjiro. I think so, nodded Urakadaki. Regardless of what the color indicates, I know you have a very glorious future ahead. How great of a swordsmith I am. They will kneel before. Arigato sensei. Hey. Are you people ignoring me? Higanetsuka yelled. Tanjiro and Tsukanji turned towards him. Sorry, Tanjiro smiled apologetically. Did you say something? What's with this attitude? Yelled Higanazuka. His manner of speaking was becoming more and more bothering to the mentor-student duo. Tanjiro's new winged companion entered the house through the now opened window. Hello, Tanjiro, the bird said as it landed on his shoulder. How have you been? Fine, he replied with a kind smile. What about you? Great. What have you got for me, Dadabeo? Your first mission. The bird replied cheerfully. Really? Tanjiro became excited. What is it? Apparently there are some young girls being kidnapped frequently from the northwest village. The Corps believe that demons are involved in this case. Being the closest demon slayer to the place, you are elected to go and investigate the matter. I understand. He turned his head towards his sensei, who was watching the interaction the whole time. Sensei, with your permission I would like to go on my first mission. I hope you will bless me. Tsukanji stared at him for a brief moment before replying, of course you have my blessing. And I have no doubts you will triumph. Naruto went to a room to change his clothes. He now had his very own Demon Slayer uniform. It was a perfect fit. There was kanji for kill all the demons on the back. Ud had a white belt which looked great. Naruto misses his signature orange color, which is obviously cooler. But this isn't bad either. The village is quite lively. For some reason the atmosphere is cold for some reason. Of course, Tanjiro knows the reason. Teenage girls are being kidnapped almost every night. Age 16 is the majority. According to the spies of Demon Slayer Corporation, demons are behind all these kidnappings. Naruto spotted a young adult male with a lot of bruises wearing a yukata walking aimlessly on the street with a blank look on his face. Excuse me, he called, but the young man didn't turn, kept walking, maintaining a straight line. Tanjiro held his right hand from behind. The man looked back. Sorry to stop you in the middle of the street. But can you tell me anything about the kidnappings that have been happening lately? It would be a great help. But the blank look was replaced by a sad expression which was slowly but surely evolving into a grieving expression. They thought it was me who did it. He collapsed on his knees on the road and began sobbing loudly. People around them gave disgusted looks. Would you mind sharing with me? Tanjiro kneeled beside him and patted on the man's back. I am sure that I can help. But you are just a kid. The man retorted. We'll see about that. Naruto gave a foxy grin. Really? The man gave him a doubtful look before letting out a sigh and saying, I guess it won't hurt telling you my story. Okay then, listen. I went for a walk yesterday with my girlfriend. Once evening came, I said goodbye to her and returned home. I returned home after that. Then suddenly in the middle of the night there was a loud knock on my door. I opened the door and saw my girlfriend's father. He grabbed my collar and started punching me hard without saying a word. His wife was standing outside the door with a tearful face. After beating me, he asked where his daughter was. I said I didn't know. Once I found out that after the girl left home with me, she never came back. Her family thinks that I have done something to her. Not only that, but I have a hand behind the disappearance of other girls. The man then burst into tears. Tanjiro started comforting the man who was crying like a baby. Don't worry, mister. I will help you find your friend. You can count on me, Dadabeo. Dadabeo? The man looked at him with a confused expression on his face. Naruto scratched the back of his head sheepishly. It is a verbal tic. Oh okay. So how do you plan to find her? That should not be very hard. He replied. Do you have something that belongs to her? Why? The man raised an eyebrow. You may not believe it, but I have a very keen smelling ability. If I can get the smell right, then it should be easy to find her. Really? The man's face lit up. Arigato. He pulled a yellow handkerchief from his yukata and handed it to Naruto. It belongs to her. Will it be fine? It is perfect for the job. Naruto grabbed the handkerchief and brought it close to his nose and smelled it. After closing his eyes. It smelled like pineapple. He moved it away from his face and began smelling all around the place. After a few moments, a faint but identical smell greeted him from a particular direction. I've got it. He turned to the man, who was looking at him with bewildered eyes. Follow me, we'll find her in no time. The man looked unsure. Oh okay, I guess. It turned out that tracking the woman was not easy. Her smell was everywhere. It took him a few hours before he discovered that the handkerchief smell was very common in the village as most women used such. The handkerchief the man gave him indeed belonged to her, but she didn't use it for a long time. In fact, a lot of women bought it lately from a certain vendor. So, yeah, a lot of thrashing, yellings, and some mob chasing later, Naruto gave up on the smell and track strategy. The day couldn't get any worse. Look, the man said as he was panting beside Naruto. I know that you are trying to help, but is this really the only way? There is one way. Naruto thought for a moment before making a ram seal with his hand. Henge. Smoke engulfed Naruto, and the man jumped a good 2 feet before falling on his back. Instead of Naruto, there stood a girl. What? The man's eyes almost came out of their sockets. Are you a demon? A witch? Huh? The girl said, in a girly voice. And no. I mean this is a trick, yeah, a magic trick it is. Pretty cool, Dadabeo. I have never seen one like this before. Naruto scratched the back of his head. I totally forgot that this place doesn't have chakra. Phew, that was a close one. He looked at himself. It was Sakura's teen form he will be using to lay the trap. If Sakura was here today and saw him using her form to lure demons, he gulped. So what's the plan? The man asked, halting his train of thoughts. Well, according to my sources, these kidnapped girls are no older than 16. So it would make sense why I am under a disguise. Sakura replied. Ah. The man understood. I will be baiting myself by wandering in the street at night. Clear. You're so smart, miss. He cheerfully said. Sakura's sweat dropped from his antics. Don't get any funny ideas, Sakura warned. I am still a boy. Whatever you say, miss. He teased. I wonder what beauty we will devour today, a high-pitched voice mused. I would like a slim one. Another voice, almost identical to the first one, said. Any kind of beauty is fine by me. Another one added. You have no. The first voice was cut off by the second. SHH. What? Look over there. The two demons followed their companions' fingers and they couldn't help but smirk. It's not spring yet, but it looks like we have a beautiful sakura leaf within our grasp. The third demon spoke. They swiftly ambushed the pink-haired girl and began to walk around her. The girl had a shocked expression on her face. Look boys, one of the demons said. It's a little lady. What do you want? The girl cried out. We just want you. A demon replied. Hey, are you the ones who kidnapped the other girls? The girl asked in a shaky voice. Well, aren't you a smart one? A demon laughed. And to answer your question. Yes, we indeed are the ones who preserved those beautiful yet fragile poor things. What do you mean by that? We simply keep them. He pointed his finger to his belly. Here. You eat them? No. Of course not. He retorted. We, he sighed. Yes, we eat them. But you don't have to think too much about it. You are going to be meeting them very soon. Ku, he pulled something out from his odd clothes. This belonged to her. So the girl you abducted last night is dead? The girl asked in a cold tone. You are going to pay for this, Dadabeo. What's with the attitude? The demons were confused. Anyways, after we are done preserving you, we will keep those beautiful earrings of yours. The demon had to stop talking, otherwise, he would have been beheaded by now. Oh, so you are one of those so-called demon slayers. No problem, after all, you are just a weak girl. Not quite a puff of smoke later, the transmigrated shinobi stood all in his glory. He took an offensive stance. Sakura-chan is anything but a weak girl. Now, prepare to be eradicated, Dadabeo. The demons jumped at him together, but he simply teleported away. The demons were disturbed. They all had a similar thought. Is this a Hashira? They were wrong, very wrong. This was a Kage, the greatest shinobi of history. They threw barrages of punches at him. But he kept teleporting here and there. Finally they decided to overwhelm him with their teamwork. One of them attacked him from the front, while another was waiting for the right moment behind him with his portal open. The last one was hiding inside a wall, just in case the boy decided to teleport there. They motioned their plan. The first one jumped at him. Naruto, in order to evade the attack, jumped backwards. The second demon began to close his portal as soon as the boy was seen to be falling on it. They all grinned. However, Naruto simply body flickered away and stood in front of the wall where the third demon was waiting. Is this the best you have to offer? He sighed. You guys are barely genin level. What? The second demon said, not quite understanding the term. Don't underestimate us, Hashira. No sooner had he said it than the third demon came out of the wall and jumped at Tanjiro. Before they could see anything, Naruto was standing behind the demon with his blade unsheathed. Tanjiro swung his blade before sheathing it. You don't get it, do you? Tanjiro softly said as he beheaded the third demon who was trying to attack him from behind. The demon's head and body began to fade away in a swift motion. You are no match for me. The remaining demons gulped. They disappeared before beheading the second demon. Before the final demon could escape by opening a portal, Tanjiro cut the demon's legs in a blur. The demon fell on the ground with a thud sound. I have a question for you, Tanjiro said as he pointed his blade at the demon's throat. Where is Muzan? The demon's eyes widened. I can't. As expected, Naruto sighed. Very well. Tanjiro swung his blade. Before the demon could fade away completely, Tanjiro took the girl's red hairpin from it. I am sorry, Tanjiro bowed as he handed him his girlfriend's hairpin. I couldn't save her as she was already killed. This belonged to her. Himiko-chan, the man fell on his knees as he took the hairpin. He looked at Naruto with fury in his eyes. You said you will find her. He launched himself at Naruto and grabbed the younger boy by his collar. The older boy began to punch him on his face. You did this. You did this. You did this. He yelled as he continued his punches. You were involved, weren't you? You. That's enough, Tanjiro, whose nose was broken by now and bleeding, caught the man's fist. I know what it feels to lose someone you love. You don't know a thing. The man let go of him. You have never lost anyone, have you? Naruto felt his eyes getting hydrated. He politely bowed once more before saying, thank you for helping me throughout the mission. Naruto left the place, tears coming out of his eyes. Hinata Boruto Hime Kurama. Tanjiro sat under a palm tree near a pumpkin field. It was a sunny day. The clouds were idly moving in the sky, unknowingly forming odd shapes. One of those shapes looked too much like Hinata, while two others looked like Boruto and Himawari. Why didn't I die? He asked specifically no one. I miss mom, dad, Pervy Sage, Niji and Kurama. A few beads of tear fell from his eyes. He closed his eyes and leaned to the tree. Why is it always me? He fell asleep. Morning became noon and noon turned into afternoon. Soon twilight hour came and left. It was about 12 hours later when he stood up. He began to look around anxiously. All of his clones have pooped out without any warning. It seemed as if someone attacked them from behind at the. He stopped thinking for a moment. Someone has detached the seal from a kunai. Somebody needs me. He used a flying thunder god to teleport to the side of his family's house. He saw his brothers and sisters standing by the door of your room. They were shivering furiously. Nezuko, Takeo, Shigeru, Hinako, Rakuta. He yelled as he ran towards them but stopped on his tracks as he felt a lot of presence behind him. Ani-chan, Takeo sniffed as he said. Mother. He turned a full 180 degrees as he followed their gaze. He looked towards where they were looking and saw something that shook his world. He saw that some demons were gathered in one place, surrounding his mother. About 30 feet away he saw his fallen mother beside a small tree. There were at least a dozen demons standing around her. She had scratches in various places. Her kimono, which he had bought lightly for her not too long ago, was torn here and there. If one looked closely, they could spot odd things hanging around her belly. Those things were guts. A certain fluid was coming out of his lower abdomen in a steady stream. The substance was blood. I will eat first. One yelled as it tried to tear off one of her hands. Have you finished your turn yet? One inquired eagerly. Quick. I worked hard to finish the fakes, so let me eat first. One shouted. Hey, I don't play even once, another said. You catch the kids and eat them. Another said. Hey, get out of here. The one, who was currently chewing an ear, said. Sage art. They heard someone speaking from behind them. What are breathing? 11th form. Dead calm. Before they could turn towards the person, they felt the whirl get incredibly faster. The last thing they saw before their heads hit the ground was a pair of glowing red orbs and a pair of odd flowers patterned in the same color, promising hell. Filling the demons, Tanjiro calmed down, but this calm didn't last long. When he looked at the bloodied body of his fallen mother, he became agitated again. Mom? Tanjiro kneeled. How could this happen? No, I will save you. Medical technique. Mystic palm. His hands began to glow green. But her unmoving form was indescribable. Her gaze was still and his chakra wasn't healing anything. Ani-chan. He looked back and saw Hinako with an emotionless face looking at him. She's dead. No. He yelled. I'll heal her. She's gone. Nezuko said firmly. Because of you. Nezuko. She's gone. Hinako said. Just like Hinata, Boruto, Himawari and Kurama. Yeah. All because of you, Takeo said. I am. You are a failure, Naruto or Tanjiro or whatever and whoever you are. Shigeru said. You are a disappointment. A failure who couldn't save his best friend. Stop it. A failure who couldn't save his own son. A failure who was not there for his daughter. Please. A failure who was not there for his wife. She needed him. Please stop. You were given a second chance, but you never deserve it. You couldn't even save her. You couldn't save us. Stop. It. A failure who couldn't save his village, who couldn't save his world, a person who fled away. Nuo. He woke up, sweating furiously. Of course it was a dream. He chuckled weakly. I am so pathetic, Dadabeo. He noticed that he had accidentally activated Sage mode. He was just about to inactivate it when. About 36 kilometers to the north he felt an uneasy feeling. Not only that, he sensed the presence of a powerful demon. Not as strong as Muzan, but stronger than all the demons he had killed so far. This demon may even be stronger than the sum of all of them. Without further delay, Tanjiro ran to the north using his top speed. The closer he got to his destination, the more he began to feel two presences, one of which was undoubtedly that of a demon. The other presence is also powerful, perhaps whoever they are, demon slayers. 35 kilometers, 34 kilometers, 33, 32, 31, 30. His Sage mode had already been deactivated. But he has to go faster, faster, faster. 20, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. He came closer to the place, a small empty lane. There is no moonlight in the sky, clouds cover the moon. Still, he could clearly sense three presences using his sense of smell. The girl with a bloody body was lying on the ground, passed out, still clutching her sword in both hands. Undoubtedly, the girl's courage is sky high. The demon standing next to her was creamy white, wearing a red tight t-shirt, baggy pants, and a small red hat on his head. "You are so beautiful." The demon spoke dramatically. "Why are you working so hard? Look what has happened to you. I will absorb you, and your beauty will be eternal. Your beauty will never decay. Admit defeat, it would be painless." "I would," the girl, or woman, spoke in a weak voice. "Rather kill myself." Such a shame, he mused. He stepped forward and stretched out his hand towards her, but had to stop as he felt a sharp killing intent directed right at him. "Boy," Tanjiro spoke in a freezing voice. "Lesson number 1. Never disrespect a lady." Tanjiro swung his blade closer to the demon's throat with incredible speed, a little more, but the demon's ice-covered hand stopped the sword. There was a slight shrill sound of metal hitting metal. Tanjiro jumped back, but the demon stood his ground. Now Tanjiro could see the monster's face well. Milky white face, a very sweet smile on the face, the color of the eyes were like a circular rainbow, colorful, like a majestic collection of colors. In both of his eyes were kanji for upper moon too. "Look who's come to save," the demon laughed. "Are you the hero come to save the heroine? How romantic." "Excuse me, she is at least 10 years older than me. Plus I've never seen her before." "So love at first sight then?" "I can't see her well because of the darkness." "So yeah, definitely not love at first sight." "So what is it? Can we just continue the fight already?" "You must have gone out in search of love," the demon ignored him. "Sensed the possibility of finding true love and came to save her, right?" Tanjiro ignored him and used water breathing. 8th form. Waterfall basin, but the demon easily evaded the attack. The demon is definitely stronger. The demon lazily threw an ice spear at him. Tanjiro cut it in half. The demon curled an eyebrow at the speed. Then the demon threw 3 spears at once. Naruto effortlessly dodged them too. "Impressive," the demon remarked. "Quite some reflexes you've got, I must say. But how are you going to escape from?" He threw several dozen ice needles at him. "This?" Naruto used a pale version of Hyuga's heavenly rotation and instantaneously deflected all the projectiles. Naruto gave the demon no chance to attack again and conjured a wind style Rasengan in his right hand and launched it. The demon, who was still amazed by the heavenly rotation, was unable to dodge it and the chakra construct hit him on his chest. The demon let out a painful moan as he was sent a few meters away. Naruto created a shadow clone who went to help the wounded woman. The clone's hands glowed in medical chakra as it used medical style. "Mystic Palm. Who are you?" The woman opened her eyes weakly. She looked at the glowing hands. "What is this? This doesn't hurt." "You can trust me, I am a demon slayer." "And stop talking, your body needs oxygen," the clone said. "Breathe as much as you can, otherwise you will die as you have lost enough blood already." "Oxygen? It is a gas essential for our body," the clone explained. "Without it, we cannot survive." "You're a doctor?" "I am a doctor for you," the clone said. "Now stop talking. I want to say something." "What?" The clone was irritated. "I am not that old." She smiled. "I am only 20. Just concentrate on breathing," he said. "You are a demon slayer, you should be good at it." Suddenly the demon began to laugh like a maniac, much to Tanjiro's surprise. Tanjiro took a defensive stance. "None of the people I've ever fought are as strong as you," the demon announced. "They are nothing compared to your speed, agility and reflexes. And there is so much power behind every attack." He licked his lips. "Your every step is measured. These tricks I may recognize you, our king often talks about you. You are truly the strongest demon slayer I have ever met. But I can't recall your name. So tell me, what is your name?" "You should introduce yourself first before asking someone else's name," Tanjiro said bluntly. "I like you." "You. Ha. Ha. I am Doma, the upper moon too. Pleased to meet you." The demon stood up. Naruto noticed that the wind style Rasengan's damage had already been healed completely. "You can call me Uzumaki Naruto or Kamado Tanjiro. I am not pleased to meet you, by the way." "Do names. I like you more now." He laughed like a maniac. Tanjiro sighed. Water breathing. 6th form. Whirlpool. Doma produced a hand fan from his pocket and began to move them in a powerful motion. This resulted in the strong cold wind being moved in whirlpool style. Naruto noticed something odd about the air around him and quickly stopped breathing. "That's a smart move." Doma laughed again. No one has ever been able to deduce the trick so quickly. Doma quickly summoned half a dozen ice clones who were as fast as their creator. There are civilians not too far away, thought Tanjiro as he traded moves with Doma. A Rasen Shuriken should have been enough to disintegrate the demon at the atomic level. Doma shouldn't be able to survive that. However, a mid-sized Rasen Shuriken will cause problems as well as help. Not use my powerful techniques. Besides, the girl will also be in the impact zone. I have to use that. I think it's time I show you my most powerful move. Tanjiro sighed. There was no other easy option left. Multi-shadow clone jutsu. 12 clones appeared and ambushed Doma. Doma laughed. Trying to overwhelm me with numbers. Doma said. I am rather. Harem no jutsu. The clones shouted in unison. More than a dozen poof of smoke appeared and engulfed the surroundings. What? Doma kun, a sweet voice called him. Ma kun, another voice, different but sweeter, called him. Uoma kun, another, sweeter. Doma chan, another. They marched towards him in an intoxicating manner. Doma blinked once. Twice. Is this heaven? Doma's eyes literally came out of their sockets and his head exploded. They completely surrounded him, he was still not regenerating his head. Now for the final attack. Naruto jumped straight at Doma. Water breathing. 10th form. Constant flux. Whoosh. The figure appeared out of nowhere and grabbed Doma and disappeared. The dragon hit nothing but the clones. Tanjiro looked at the new demon. It was wearing an odd pinkish red shirt and loose white pants. It had the kanji for Upper Moon 6 in its eyes. It was carrying Doma on its back piggyback. Tanjiro Kamado, the Upper Moon 6 said from about 50 meters away. We shall meet. Ninja art. Great fireball. Naruto appeared in front of him and released a small, but very condensed fireball. The demons were sent flying away before hitting a wall. Ah. The new demon cried out in agony but didn't waste time and quickly stood up and stood a fighting stance. I understand why King Sama talks so much about you. You are really full of surprises. Meanwhile, a few demon slayers, senior to him in rank along with half a dozen Kakushi came to the place. Stay back. The clone said on behalf of the original. It is a battle way above your league. A girl, almost identical looking to the wounded woman, came rushing. She kneeled down and began crying. He looked at his patient. The wounded girl, she was currently, but she had lost a lot of blood. Her lungs cannot be healed completely. She can't use breathing techniques any longer, at least not the difficult and powerful ones. I have healed her enough. She'll live. The newcomer had no intention of interfering anyway. They were too shocked to even move. Killing intent was flooding the whole place. The new girl looked at him, then at the original. She frowned. Who are you? You are here, but also there, the new girl asked in awe. You are not a demon. What are you? I am Tanjiro Kamado. The clone replied. And I am a shinobi. Multi-shadow clone technique. A mighty voice was heard. The mass of smoke appeared and engulfed the entire area. The demon launched himself into the air in order to escape but was stopped by a sea of green and black. Soon he was assaulted with a barrage of sharp attacks that turned him into a humanish caterpillar. The demon, however, regenerated almost instantly and stood up. He had a very annoyed expression on his face. You are really troublesome. He said. I would love to kill you, really, but I am afraid I have orders to follow. So, later. He reached the place where he left Doma, but the Upper Moon 2 was not there. Damn it, bastard. The demon became furious. Traitor. He quickly dodged a slash from the boy and threw a punch meant for his guts. The attack did touch him, but it turned out to be a fake. He looked around, frustrated. There were about 20 identical boys from which he couldn't detect the original one. Come on, you coward, show yourself. Less talking, more fighting. Naruto yelled as he jumped from who knows where and closed the proximity between him and the demon. He then prepared his katana to launch his most powerful sword attack. Ninja art. Water breathing. 12th form. Super Uzumaki. A gigantic water swirl making a wheezing noise was conjured around the blade and made its way towards the demon, who was yet to recover from the initial surprise attack. The spinning projectile beheaded the demon instantly. The demon slayers and Kakishas present there were dumbfounded by the attack. Naruto realized that the demon cannot be killed so easily, not without using it. So he had no choice left. Doma had already escaped and this demon is great at hand-to-hand combat. Before the demon could regenerate completely he must use it. Inferno style. Rasen Shuriken. For a moment the night became day and earth became hell. The attack was so intense that all of the demon slayers and Kakishas had no choice but to back off a good 10 meters or so. Everyone had to shut their eyes lest they become blind by the light. The Fuma Shuriken-like crimson sphere had torn the demon in millions of pieces at an atomic level, leaving him no initial cell to begin regeneration with. There was nothing of that demon left. Tanjiro fell on his knees, panting heavily as he tried to heal his now crisp hand. He felt that even a baby could tear it off his body as he could barely stay conscious. He had third-degree burn marks all over his body. There was a reason why Inferno style Rasen Shuriken was a forbidden technique. It comes with a great cost, losing your hand and death in the worst-case scenario. But hopefully, Tanjiro knows advanced sage healing techniques which he learned from the Toad sages as Naruto. He activated sage mode and let nature's energy handle the rest. About 10 minutes later, his hand was good as new. His whole upper uniform was gone due to the intensity of the attack. Thankfully his Haori was saved as he had taken it off before launching the attack. They arrived at the spot where the corporation's people were at. They stepped back, seeing him, awe, fear, confusion and respect in their eyes. They are still here? He thought. Then he looked at the injured woman. They didn't even take her to the hospital. Are they really dumb or something? But he really couldn't blame them. His clone, which was standing beside the unconscious woman, dispelled itself, further freaking the already shaken people out. He sighed and patted Kakushi's shoulder. She needs immediate blood transfusion. Get her help. What is blood transfusion, sir? The Kakushi asked. Really? Tanjiro facepalmed. Get her to the nearest treatment center. Now. Why yes, sir. The Kakushi rushed with two others as they carried the woman away. The girl stood up and looked at him. I don't know who exactly you are, he looked at her. But you have my utmost gratitude for saving my sister. She bowed. Thank you. No need for that, kid, Dadabeo. He immediately regretted it as he ruffled her hair. He was not a 40-year-old man anymore. She was at least 3 years older than his current form. I am older than you, she said, but looked confused for a moment before asking, am I? She curled an eyebrow. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you are a perv. Tanjiro laughed nervously. We have an interesting news, Lord Yabayashiki. Yes. The newest student of Lord Urakadaki, Tanjiro Kamado, has defeated an upper moon. Oh? Yes, sir. He saved Lady Kanny from inevitable death by both defeating the demon and healing her with strange powers. Where is he now? He is currently residing in the Butterfly Mansion. Summon him tomorrow morning, please. I would like to meet our potential savior. As you wish. Okay. Tanjiro said as he stood in the center of the room filled with members of the corporation. I need a blood donor similar to the lady in there. They looked at him with confused eyes. He sighed. Are you not willing to help your comrade? A moment of silence descended before everyone replied in unison, yes. Good. Nodded Naruto. Now, I need you to draw a little blood from your palm so that I can get the perfect match. They did that without hesitation. Tanjiro, using his advanced smelling prowess, searched for an AB+. AB+ there. You there? He called the young demon slayer, a boy who was senior to him in rank. The boy pointed at himself with a questioning look. Yes, you. What is your name? Murata, sir. Okay, kid, I need you to come with me. Your blood matches with the lady. Tanjiro took him into the operating room. The transfusion was successful. Hami bless Bachan and Sakura-chan. The next day. Butterfly Mansion. Yes. Naruto asked the old man in front of him. What do you want? Can you heal my knee pain? Sure, I guess. Naruto used Mystic Palm to do so. 3 minutes later. Thank you, doctor. The man bowed before leaving. Naruto sighed as he stood up and went outside his room only to have his jaw dropped. The long queue of people from all ages were standing right in front of him. What, he felt suffocated. Was he supposed to heal them all? And when did he say that he will be treating people? These were not even any fatal wounds or any emergency cases anyway. Perhaps the staff in this place can help him. Tanjiro-kun. A girl, whom he recognized as Aoi, holding a board in her hand, shouted at him. Shall I send the next patient? Oh, Kami. I am sorry, my lord. Have you not been able to fetch the boy? The boy was preoccupied. How so? The boy is currently treating the patients in the Butterfly Mansion, sir. So he has made quite a name for himself, the man chuckled a bit. Perhaps I need to wait a bit longer. Akaza uncomfortably paced back and forth in the corridor of the Infinity Castle. Had it not been for Doma, he would have surely died. The boy was a monster. He easily defeated Doma and was an inch from eradicating him. Akaza is not facing the boy anytime soon. The reason why he went to save Doma there in the first place was simply because the stupid demon had disobeyed their lord's orders and went to hunt. The Demon King had strictly forbidden them to avoid any Hahira-level foe, as the quantity of strong demons had reduced drastically in the past couple of months. And now, Doma is being given his sentence. Akaza couldn't help but grin a little. While it is true that Akaza is always jealous of Doma, he does look at him as his rival. But of course, both the Upper Moon hate each other's guts. He felt a chill. The Demon King has summoned him. He quickly entered the court and bowed to his king. In there, he saw Upper Moon 1. Kakishibo standing with his usual emotionless face. This was the only demon beside their king whom he truly respected. Upper Moon 4. Nakam, still motionless as ever with that musical instrument in his hand, was sitting on his usual spot. Akaza didn't dislike the guy. Hintangu was there, looking nervous for some reason. Akaza never really talked with him much. Ayako was right beside Doma, grinning like a maniac. To him, the pot demon was nothing but an annoying pest. Upper Moon 6. Daki and Gyutaro was also there, a mirror in their hand and an arrogant smirk adorning their face. Akaza didn't hate them. But he didn't like them either. "Yes, my lord?" he asked in a calm tune. "Tell me about him," the king ordered. So he spoke. "The boy was faster and stronger than me. He seems to have a lot of experience fighting in close range. His movements were calculated, like a war veteran. He moved the blade faster than my eyes could follow. In short, he is stronger than Kakishibo-senpai." The Upper Moon 1 didn't show any emotion at the revelation. "His strength alone can defeat me, and I am sure that he wasn't going all out. I also want to say that he has more than just physical strength and a self-cloning trick. The boy can summon fire out of thin air. The flame Hashira can also do that," Muzin said. "Yes, my lord," Akaza said. "But the boy can do it without using the blade itself." Every Upper Moon, including Kakishibo, was surprised by this. "That is not all. He can transform into other people." He looked at Doma, who gave him a sheepish smile. Also, his breathing techniques were different too. He used some moves I never even heard of. "I see," Muzin frowned deeply before asking, "Tell me, on a scale of 1 to 100, what score will you give him?" 95, at least. Akaza replied without hesitation. "Is he stronger than me?" Then drop silence descended throughout the castle. "I don't know," Akaza couldn't reply truthfully, hence he tried to get away with a trick. He wasn't using his full potential. So. Before he could complete his sentence, he found himself flying backwards like an arrow. When he hit the wall, he saw his king standing before him with his veins bulging around his forehead and his eyes slitted. "I ask you a question," Muzin shouted as he leaked a sea of killing intent. "Is he stronger than me or not? Answer truthfully." "Why yes, my lord, he is far stronger than you, maybe all of us combined," he replied. Akaza could see his fellow demons' shocked faces. Even Kakishibo was tense if his frown was any indication. Doma was missing his signature smile. "Well then," Muzin said as he walked away. "It is high time we conquered the sun. I know what exactly we need." Tanjiro was waiting outside Yubayashiki's office. He was yet to meet the man. Everyone talked with supreme respect about the man. Naruto didn't quite understand why. Was it because he ran the organization? Was it the only reason? Naruto, as Hokage, was respected all over the elemental nations. Even his enemies respected him. That being said, Naruto was a very powerful figure in that world, but this man wasn't. "You may come inside." A voice was heard from the room. He took a deep breath before entering the chamber. The chamber's air was saturated with the aroma of wisteria flowers. Naruto assumed it was to prevent demons from attacking. He looked at the occupants of the room. The first man he saw was sitting in front of a group of people who were kneeling in front of him. The man had dark raven hair and was wearing a purple yukata. His most interesting feature was his odd marks on his forehead and his pupilless lavender eyes. Naruto froze on the spot. "No, she's gone, they are all gone, calm down." Everyone watched with curiosity as the boy fell on his knees and began to breathe heavily. "Are you okay?" Ringoku asked with concern. "My friend." Why yeah, Tanjiro was clearly not okay. He was having a panic attack which was due for a long time. His eyes betrayed him and began to leak liquids at a disturbing rate. "Kamado-sama?" The older girl he met that day, whose sister he had saved, Shinobu asked with concern. Tanjiro practically begged her not to call him that, but she didn't listen. She ran towards him and quickly diagnosed him. "You are physically okay. But you are mentally not. Isn't it?" He sighed. "Yes, I am not okay." "Oh, can you tell us what is it?" "I am afraid it is something I cannot quite share." I understand." Shinobu nodded. "Okay, sorry for the distraction." Naruto bowed as he stood up. The demon slayers in the room seemed to understand as they did not say anything. "We understand, Kamado-san," said Yubayashiki on the behalf of his subordinates. "Now, let's move on to the meeting, please." "Alright," nodded Naruto as he stood beside the tall-looking man who was constantly crying and clasping his hands together as he held some beads. As we all are aware that the flower Hashira was attacked by an Upper Moon 2 to be exact, she was just about to die when this young man came to her aid. Everyone but Shinobu and Giyu looked at him and frowned. He doesn't look that tough, they all thought. He not only rescued her, but also defeated Upper Moon 6, who had come to help the Upper Moon 2. Everyone gasped at that. "Is he a secret demon slayer that works for you?" Tsunemi asked, or rather, yelled. No, Yabayashiki replied. He is a demon slayer just like everyone else. In fact, he became a demon slayer by passing the last exam. He is quite skilled in the medical field too. If it wasn't for his quick actions, she would have most likely died. My friend here seems to be a prodigy, haha. Rengoku said cheerfully. But that's barely been a month. Tsunemi yelled again. Are you saying that he got this strong within a month? No, this time, it was Giyu who spoke. Everyone looked at him. 5 months ago, I met him on a mountain where he lived with his family. And trust me, he was stronger than any of us at that time. Pin dropped silence. He must be strong if you say so, the stone Hashira said. But stronger than all of us. I saw him fight, Shinobu interfered. He was faster than Tengen-san, stronger than you, agile than Tsunemi-san, and he used techniques I've never even heard of. He can probably fight against an entire army in the World War alone. The upper moon stood no chance. Again Pin dropped silence. How can anyone be that strong? Yelled Tsunemi. This is illogical. Unbelievable. I agree, Tengen spoke. No one can be so strong. He does possess a majestic aura, but he can't be that strong. Naruto meanwhile was looking at the children sitting behind the blind man. They reminded him of his own family. Naruto thought that not thinking about them would help him reduce the pain. But it did not work. Now he has to deal with mental breakdowns. Then how about a test? Suggested Yabayashiki as he felt that the debate would soon evolve into something much more chaotic. All of the Hashiras against one Tanjiro Kamado, if Kamado-san has no problem of course. It's fine, replied Naruto. But is this really needed? I don't care what others think about me. But if that's what you want, then it is okay, Dadabeo. Thank you, Kamado-san. He turned towards the Hashiras. Do you have any objections? It is a wise choice, Jiyomi said. A battle would clear all the conflicts. I am in. Tsunemi spoke. I'll show everyone that he is just a brat. I would like to fight him too. Tengen said in a cheerful voice. I have no objections. Abanai said, or rather, whispered. I wish to have a friendly spar too. Rengoku said in a loud voice. I am in too. Shinobu said with a smile. Ryu gulped silently. He isn't in this madness. I hope I go unnoticed. Ryu-san, Shinobu smiled at him. You are joining too, right? Oh shit. Why yes, of course. It's not like I will be severely injured or something. Then it's settled. Yabayashiki spoke with a smile. The spar will take place on the training ground beside Yabayashiki Estate tomorrow morning. We will determine how strong Tanjiro Kamado truly is. In the hall of the Butterfly Mansion, several boys were sitting in a circle. Everyone had some kind of food in their hand, some had dumplings, some had rice balls, etc. They were talking about the incident that happened a day ago. Rumors spread among them that there was a powerful warrior among them who single-handedly defeated Upper Moon 2 as well as killing Upper Moon 6. Some even say that he alone can defeat all Hashira in spar. I am telling you, a man spoke with his mouth full of rice. He is stronger than everyone. He may be strong. One said as others looked at him. But he can never be as strong as the Hashiras. I disagree. One shook his head. I have seen him fight with my own eyes and believe it or not he used such techniques and displayed such skills that I have never seen before. He was fighting the demons at the same time he was healing Kani-sama. His hands were glowing. Really? He was at 2 places at the same time? Yeah. He even treated her with a blood something too. He is that great, huh? You people were mentally disturbed at that time, another suggested. Perhaps you were imagining things. It is not impossible. Guys. A new voice interrupted. Everyone looked at the newcomer who was a fellow demon slayer. Have you heard the news? What news? One asked. Kamado-sama is going to fight against all the Hashiras tomorrow. What? A demon slayer yelled. Are you sure it is not a rumor? I am positive. He replied. I overheard Tsunemi-sama and Mitsuri-sama talk about it. Really? Yeah. So, when is it going to be held? Tomorrow morning, he replied. At the training ground near the estate. Well, if that's true then I am not going to be absent. Yeah, I am definitely going to watch the match. Me too. I am going to be batting on behalf of the Hashiras. A boy said cheerfully. I'm sure then the boy is going to run before. Oh, hello guys, am I interrupting something? A very popular person was seen behind the boy who had brought the news. Everyone turned their heads towards him. It's him. Kamado-sama. Everybody bowed, including the boy who was just about to remark something unmentionable about Tanjiro. Now guys, Tanjiro subconsciously gave them a daddy smile as he said. There is no need to be so formal with me. I am one of you after all. One of us they all thought. Conjuring a mini-sun with blade-like features, moving faster than sound and healing the unhealable, and bringing someone back from the grasp of Shinigami. Who does that? None of us. Anyways, I was here to get some food. Do you know where I can find some? The kitchen is that way, at the end of the corridor. A boy said. Thanks. With that he just disappeared. He just disappeared. Yeah, so I am betting on him. No question. Chapter. The Fire Shadow. To dispel any doubts about his strength, Tanjiro Kamado must face an unprecedented challenge. A duel against all the Hashira, the most powerful swordsmen in the Demon Slayer Corps. The duel is set on the expansive, empty training grounds near the Inuyashiki estate. Tension hangs in the air as other demon slayers gather around the perimeter, their eyes fixed on the battleground. Overlooking the scene from his balcony, the head of the corps, Kagura Yabayashiki, watches intently, his expression calm but serious. As the battle begins, the sound Hashira, Tenjin Uzui, charges at Tanjiro with incredible speed, his twin blades flashing. Let's see what you've got, Kamado. Tenjin shouts. Tanjiro, quicker still, becomes a green blur. In a heartbeat, he appears behind Tenjin and delivers a precise chop to the back of his neck, rendering him unconscious before he can react. The swift and decisive move shocks the onlookers and sets the tone for the battle. The remaining Hashira, now fully aware of Tanjiro's capabilities, ready themselves for the fight. He's faster than I thought, murmurs Gyutomioka, the water Hashira, his eyes narrowing. Tsunemi Shinazagawa, the wind Hashira, steps forward next, his fierce eyes locking onto Tanjiro as he launches a swift powerful assault. His wild white hair stands on end, and the scars crisscrossing his face give him a menacing appearance. The muscles in his arms ripple as he grips his Nichiren blade, the air around him crackling with energy. You won't get the drop on me. Tsunemi roars, his voice echoing across the training ground. His blade slices through the air with deadly precision, creating shockwaves that rustle the leaves of nearby trees. His movements are a blur, each strike filled with raw power and intent to dominate. At that crucial moment, Tanjiro's hands flash through a series of signs, his eyes narrowing in concentration. He calls out, hidden mist. Water style. Silent killing. Instantly, a dense mist envelops the entire area, shrouding everything in an impenetrable fog. The temperature drops, and the world becomes a cold, damp void. What's this? Tsunemi growls, frustration evident in his voice. He swings his blade furiously, trying to clear the mist. I'll blow this mist away. His voice is a mix of anger and surprise, unaccustomed to being caught off guard. Tsunemi uses his wind techniques, whipping up powerful gusts in an attempt to disperse the mist. His blade cuts through the air, creating whirling torrents, but the mist remains stubbornly thick, undisturbed by his efforts. The opaque fog seems to absorb his attacks, rendering his efforts futile. The wind Hashira's eyes dart around, searching for any sign of Tanjiro. He tries to use his breathing techniques to sense his opponent, but the mist is impenetrable, clouding his vision and dulling his senses. His grip on his blade tightens, and he begins to curse, frustration mounting as his swings find nothing but empty air. Right at that moment, Tanjiro appears in front of him, his form emerging from the mist like a specter. Tsunemi's instincts kick in, and he swings his blade with lethal speed, aiming for Tanjiro's throat. But just as the blade is about to connect, Tanjiro fades into a swirl of charcoals, dissolving before his eyes. Tsunemi curses again, realization dawning on him. A genjutsu, he mutters through gritted teeth, recognizing the powerful illusion technique. He finds himself surrounded by multiple illusions of Tanjiro, each one an indistinguishable copy of the original. They move around him in a disorienting dance, their faces calm and focused. Enraged and disoriented, Tsunemi attacks the illusions, each one dissolving into charcoals as his blade passes through them. His frustration grows with every failed strike, his breathing becoming more ragged and desperate. The illusions seem endless, each one mocking his efforts with their ephemeral nature. In a moment of pure fury, Tsunemi decides to let one of the illusions hit him, determined to end the maddening game. As the figure approaches, he braces himself, expecting it to dissolve like the others. To his surprise, the illusion makes contact, revealing itself to be the real Tanjiro. Before Tsunemi can react, Tanjiro swiftly strikes, his hand glowing with a soft blue light. Medical style. Paralysis jutsu. Tanjiro's fingers press into a specific point on Tsunemi's back, and a surge of chakra flows through, temporarily paralyzing him. Tsunemi's muscles seize up, his body stiffening as he falls to his knees. The onlookers are shocked by Tanjiro's cunning and skill. Whispers ripple through the crowd, their faces a mix of awe and disbelief. Even the other Hashira, seasoned warriors themselves, are taken aback by the effectiveness of Tanjiro's techniques. From the mist, Tanjiro's voice rings out, calm and steady. I do not wish to hurt anyone. Please, surrender. His words carry a weight of sincerity and resolve, his eyes reflecting a deep compassion even in the midst of battle. Tsunemi, kneeling and unable to move, looks up at Tanjiro with frustration. He recognizes the younger Slayer's strength and strategy, the skill that allowed him to incapacitate one of the strongest Hashira without inflicting lasting harm. Just then, Kaijiro Rengoku, the flame Hashira, steps forward, his presence exuding confidence and fiery determination. His aura is radiant, matching the brilliant flames that suddenly engulf his sword as he activates his flame-breathing technique. Tanjiro. Your resolve is strong, but can you withstand my flames? Rengoku bellows, his voice a mix of challenge and admiration. The fiery light cuts through the lingering mist, casting an eerie golden glow that reveals Tanjiro's silhouette standing steadfast amidst the chaos. The heat from Rengoku's blade causes the air to shimmer, intensifying the atmosphere of the impending clash. Rengoku's eyes narrow with determination. If the mist won't clear, I'll burn it away, he declares with fervor. Tanjiro quickly forms a series of hand signs, his fingers moving with practiced precision. He calls out, water style. Water dragon jutsu. From the moisture in the air, a massive water dragon emerges, its serpentine body coiling and rising high before clashing violently with Rengoku's flames. The collision produces a tremendous burst of steam, hissing and swirling around them, momentarily blinding both fighters. Impressive, Tanjiro. Rengoku shouts, his voice cutting through the steam. But it won't be enough. Anticipating Rengoku's next move, Tanjiro swiftly forms another set of hand signs. Fire style. Phoenix flower jutsu. He yells. Multiple small fireballs shoot towards Rengoku, who leaps and spins through the air with impressive agility, evading the fiery barrage with graceful movements. However, Tanjiro is not done. As soon as Rengoku lands, Tanjiro shouts, wind style. Gale palm. He thrusts his hands forward, sending a powerful gust of wind towards Rengoku. The wind howls as it rushes forward, forcing Rengoku to brace himself against its force, his feet digging into the ground to maintain his stance. Your elemental mastery is commendable, Rengoku says, genuine admiration in his voice as he steadies himself. But let's see how you handle this. He unleashes his devastating flame attack, flame breathing. Ninth form, Rengoku. His sword becomes a blazing inferno, and with a powerful swing, he sends a massive wave of flames roaring towards Tanjiro. Tanjiro, undeterred, quickly forms another set of hand signs. A clone materializes beside him, mirroring his movements perfectly. Together, they shout in unison, lightning style. Electromagnetic murder. And water style. Water dragon. The clone charges forward with crackling electricity, while Tanjiro summons another water dragon. The combined elemental attack surges forward, a fearsome amalgamation of water and lightning. The electrical currents dance along the surface of the water dragon, enhancing its power as it hurtles towards Rengoku. The searing heat of Rengoku's flames meets the icy coolness of the water and the sharp sting of electricity. The sheer force of the impact creates a spectacular explosion of steam and sparks. Rengoku tries to dodge, his body moving with the speed of a seasoned warrior, but the overwhelming combination of elements is too swift and too powerful. The attacks strike true, and Rengoku is thrown backward, falling to his knees, his body singed and smoking from the intense heat and electricity. Tanjiro quickly dispels the clone and rushes to Rengoku's side. His hands glow with a soft, healing light as he kneels next to the fallen Hashira. Medical style. Healing palm jutsu, Tanjiro murmurs, channeling his chakra to mend Rengoku's wounds. Rengoku looks up at Tanjiro, his eyes filled with respect and a hint of a smile. Well done, Tanjiro. You truly are remarkable, he says, his voice weak but filled with sincerity. Tanjiro's eyes reflect both relief and determination as he continues to heal Rengoku. Thank you, Rengoku-san. Shinobu Kacho, the insect Hashira, smiles faintly. He's quite something, isn't he? She remarks to Mitsuri Kanroji, the love Hashira. He really is, Mitsuri agrees, her eyes wide with admiration. But we can't hold back. Observing this, Giyu Tomioka and Michiro Takedo prepare to join the fray. The stoic Giyu's expression is one of deep respect, while Michiro's silent intensity speaks volumes about his determination and focus. The air around them thickens with anticipation as they step forward, their combined presence exuding an aura of formidable strength. Giyu steps forward first, his Nichiren blade gleaming under the sunlight. His calm demeanor belies the power he is about to unleash. Let's see how you handle this, he says quietly, his voice steady and compassed. Water breathing, 10th form. Constant flux. With a fluid, graceful motion, Giyu swings his sword, generating a powerful torrent of water that spirals and surges forward like a relentless river. The water roars as it cuts through the air, its power aimed directly at Tanjiro. Tanjiro remains compassed, quickly forming a swift series of hand signs. Earth style. Mud wall. He calls out. The ground rumbles and shakes as a massive earthen wall erupts from the ground, towering between him and the oncoming water attack. The wall absorbs the full brunt of Giyu's technique, the water crashing against it and dispersing harmlessly to the sides. Undeterred, Michiro Takedo joins the battle, his mist breathing techniques coming into play. He moves with a silent ghostly grace, his form almost blending into the mist he conjures. The battlefield is soon shrouded in a dense, swirling fog, creating an atmosphere of confusion and disorientation. Tanjiro, anticipating Michiro's approach, quickly forms another set of hand signs. He gathers his chakra, focusing it into a swirling, condensed ball of energy in his palm. Rasengan. He shouts, charging towards the indistinct figures within the mist. He moves with precision and speed, aiming the weak Rasengan at each of his opponents. The ball of chakra strikes with pinpoint accuracy, catching both Gyu and Michiro off guard. The force of the Rasengan is enough to immobilize them instantly, the concentrated chakra disrupting their movements and rendering them unable to continue the fight. Gyu falls to one knee, his breath coming in short gasps as he looks up at Tanjiro with a mix of surprise and respect. "You truly are too strong, Kamado," he says, his voice tinged with admiration. Michiro, equally stunned, manages a nod of acknowledgement. His silent intensity is now mixed with a newfound respect for Tanjiro's abilities. "Remarkable," he mutters, more to himself than to anyone else. Shinobu Kacho, the insect Hashira, steps forward next, her smile gentle, but her eyes sharp and calculating. Known for her deadly poison techniques, she moves with a delicate grace that belies the lethal precision of her attacks. As she approaches Tanjiro, the air around her seems to hum with a subtle, dangerous energy. "Let's see how you handle this, Kamado-sama," she says softly, her voice almost a whisper. She raises her blade, coated with a potent poison, and with a swift fluid motion, she sends a cloud of toxic mist towards him. Tanjiro's eyes narrow as he quickly assesses the threat. With practiced ease, he forms a series of hand signs. "Wind style. Great breakthrough," he shouts. A powerful gust of wind erupts from his position, surging forward and dispersing the poison cloud into harmless wisps. The force of the wind is so strong that it sweeps through the training ground, scattering leaves and dust in its wake. Shinobu's eyes widen slightly in surprise, but she quickly recovers, a smile playing on her lips. "You're full of surprises, Kamado-sama," she remarks, her voice filled with a mixture of amusement and admiration. Before she can react, Tanjiro moves with lightning speed, closing the distance between them in an instant. He lands a soft but precise kick to her abdomen, his foot striking just below her ribsage. The blow is perfectly controlled, delivering just enough force to incapacitate her without causing serious injury. Shinobu gasps softly as the air is driven from her lungs, and she crumples to the ground, momentarily unable to move. The onlookers are stunned by Tanjiro's speed and efficiency. His ability to neutralize Shinobu's poison technique so effortlessly speaks volumes about his growth and adaptability as a warrior. Even the other Hashira, who are well aware of Shinobu's prowess, are impressed by Tanjiro's skillful counter and precision. Shinobu looks up at Tanjiro, her eyes twinkling with a mixture of respect and curiosity. "You've certainly outmatched us all, Kamado-sama," she says, her voice breathless but sincere. "I look forward to seeing how much more you will achieve." Tanjiro kneels beside her, offering her a hand to help her up. "Thank you, Shinobu-san. Your techniques are incredible. I'm honored to have faced you." Jaime Himejima, the stone Hashira, steps forward with an air of calm authority. His towering frame and imposing presence are matched only by his reputation for immense strength and unwavering resolve. The ground seems to tremble slightly with each of his steps as he approaches Tanjiro, his expression serene but determined. "Prepare yourself," Jaime rumbles, his deep voice resonating through the training grounds. Tanjiro stands his ground, fully aware of the daunting challenge before him. Jaime's raw power is legendary, but Tanjiro knows that brute strength alone can be countered with strategic ingenuity. He takes a deep breath, centering himself, and begins to form the necessary hand signs. "Earth style. Mud coffin," Tanjiro shouts. The earth beneath their feet responds to his call, rising up and molding itself into a solid, impenetrable prison around Jaime. The earthen walls are thick and sturdy, designed to contain even the mightiest of warriors. Jaime, despite his formidable strength, finds himself momentarily trapped. He tests the walls of his earthen prison, his powerful fist striking the barriers with resounding force. The ground shakes with each impact, but the mud coffin holds firm, its solid construction a testament to Tanjiro's mastery of elemental techniques. The onlookers watch in awe as the scene unfolds. Jaime's raw power is well known among the Demon Slayer Corps, and seeing him contained, even momentarily, is a testament to Tanjiro's strategic prowess. Inside the mud coffin, Jaime's calm demeanor does not waver. He closes his eyes, feeling the structure around him, and takes a deep breath. His immense strength gathers as he prepares to break free. With a mighty roar, he channels all his power into a single devastating strike. The earthen walls crack under the pressure, but before they can completely shatter, Tanjiro moves swiftly. He anticipates Jaime's immense strength and knows that a prolonged struggle would not be in his favor. Water style. Water prison jutsu. Tanjiro calls out, seamlessly transitioning to another elemental technique. A swirling sphere of water forms around Jaime, replacing the crumbling earthen walls. The water's constant motion exerts pressure from all sides, making it difficult for Jaime to gather the necessary force to break free. Jaime's eyes widen slightly in surprise, recognizing the fluid adaptability of Tanjiro's tactics. "Impressive, Tanjiro," he says, his voice muffled by the surrounding water. "You have not only strength but wisdom as well." Tanjiro maintains his focus, ensuring the water prison remains intact. He knows that Jaime's strength, while incredible, can be countered with quick thinking and versatility. The water sphere glows faintly as Tanjiro channels his chakra to sustain the jutsu. Jaime, undeterred, channels his own breathing technique. Stone breathing, 5th form. Arat Requiem. His muscles tense and bulge as he summons every ounce of his strength. The water prison ripples and distorts under the pressure of his formidable power. The strain is visible on Tanjiro's face as he fights to maintain the water prison against Jaime's overwhelming force. He grits his teeth, sweat beading on his forehead. But he knows he must hold on just a bit longer. Finally, with a final, explosive effort, Jaime breaks free from the water prison, the liquid dispersing in all directions. He stands, soaked but undeterred, his chest heaving from the exertion. Tanjiro, recognizing the limits of their elemental battle, switches tactics once more. Wind style. Gale palm. He shouts, sending a powerful gust of wind towards Jaime. The force of the wind pushes the massive Hashira back, momentarily unbalancing him. Jaime regains his footing quickly, his respect for Tanjiro growing with each passing moment. "You are truly formidable, Tanjiro," he acknowledges, his tone filled with genuine admiration. Tanjiro, breathing heavily, bows lightly. "Thank you, Jaime-san. Your strength is incredible, and I am honored to have faced you." Finally, the snake Hashira, Abanayaguro, and the love Hashira, Mitsuri Kanroji, stepped forward together, their movements synchronized and their determination palpable. The two shared a brief glance, a silent communication passing between them that spoke volumes about their resolve and readiness to combine their strengths against the formidable Tanjiro Kamado. Abanai's voice, cold and lethal, sliced through the air. "Let's see how you handle both of us." Mitsuri's eyes blazed with fierce determination as she nodded in agreement. "We won't go easy on you, Tanjiro." Without another word, the two Hashira launched their assault, their attacks perfectly coordinated. Abanai's serpent-like strikes darted towards Tanjiro with deadly accuracy, his blade moving as if it were an extension of a snake's body. Simultaneously, Mitsuri's flexible whip-like sword swirled around her, creating a mesmerizing yet deadly whirlwind of steel. Tanjiro, ever vigilant, anticipated their intricate attacks with remarkable agility. His movements were fluid, his breathing steady as he parried and dodged the relentless onslaught. The sound of clashing blades filled the air, each impact a testament to the intense combat. As the battle intensified, Tanjiro's mind raced, analyzing the patterns and timing of his opponent's strikes. With a surge of resolve, he leaped back, creating a momentary gap between him and the attacking Hashira. He shifted his grip on his Nichiren blade, preparing for his next move. Water breathing, 14th form. Hammer smash. Tanjiro's voice rang out with unwavering confidence. In an instant, a colossal hammer formed of water materialized above Abanai and Mitsuri, its presence casting a shadow over the battlefield. The sheer force of the water hammer's descent caught both Hashira off guard, their synchronized attacks momentarily disrupted. The massive hammer crashed down with immense power, striking them both and sending them sprawling to the ground. As Abanai and Mitsuri struggled to regain their footing, Tanjiro stood tall, his blade at the ready. "I do not wish to hurt anyone further. Please, surrender," he declared, his voice carrying both authority and compassion. The dense fog that had shrouded the battlefield began to dissipate, revealing the fallen, unconscious forms of the Hashira. The assembled onlookers, demon slayers and Kikuchi alike, were stunned into silence, their expressions a mix of awe and disbelief. "My children," from his balcony, Kagaya Bayashiki, the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps, addressed the crowd. His voice was calm, yet it resonated with the weight of his authority. "Tanjiro was once a part of a world that we have no knowledge about. He was reborn in this world with knowledge intact about that world. He passed the final selection by slaying every demon in the mountain. Not only has he fought but also defeated 2 upper moons simultaneously. He saved Kani too," he said. "Tanjiro Kamado has proven himself to be the strongest warrior we have ever seen. He has been able to defeat all the Hashira at the same time, effortlessly, in such a short time it is completely unheard of." Kagaya paused, his gaze sweeping over the assembled demon slayers and the fallen Hashira. "I, Kagaya Bayashiki, give you Tanjiro Kamado, your Hokage the Fire Shadow." At these words, every demon slayer, Hashira, and Kikuchi present dropped to one knee, bowing their heads in respect to their new Fire Shadow. Tanjiro, still catching his breath from the intense battle, looked around in disbelief. "I am honored," he said, his voice humble yet resolute. "I will do my best to lead and protect everyone." The crowd erupted into cheers, their admiration for Tanjiro clear and heartfelt. The Hashira, now regaining consciousness, also acknowledged Tanjiro's new position with nods of respect, their expressions showing a newfound respect for his abilities. "Looks like I am famous again," Naruto smiled. Two young demon slayers, new to the perilous world of demon hunting, found themselves battling a grotesque fish-bird hybrid demon. Its blood demon art overwhelmed them, its mocking laughter echoing in their ears. "Look at you two, barely out of diapers and already trying to play with the big boys." The demon sneered, its eyes gleaming with malice. "Your heads will make fine ornaments for my lair." Frustration etched deeply on their faces, the two Mizunoto rank slayers struggled to keep up. Sweat poured down their faces, and their breathing was ragged. The first slayer, a boy with unruly brown hair, tried to rally his strength. "Thunder breathing, first form. Thunderclap and flash," he yelled, darting forward with a burst of lightning speed. The attack barely scratched the demon, who shrugged it off with a casual swipe of its claw. The demon chuckled, its laughter grating on their nerves. "Is that the best you can do? How pathetic," it taunted. "I might just let you live a bit longer to amuse myself." The second slayer, a girl with short cropped hair and a fierce expression, took her turn. "Thunder breathing, second form. Rice beard," she shouted, her blade crackling with electricity as she lunged forward. But the demon was faster. It caught her blade in its clawed hand, throwing her back with enough force to send her skidding across the ground. "Nice try, little girl," the demon mocked. "But you're still far too slow." Just as the demon lunged, aiming to skewer the girl with its deadly claws, a sudden, sharp sound split the air. It was as if lightning itself had descended from the heavens. There was a blur of green and black, moving too fast for the eye to follow. Silence fell. The two demon slayers took a moment to understand what had just happened. They stared in astonishment as the demon's head, severed cleanly from its body, tumbled to the ground. Standing before them was a figure clad in a green and black checkered haori. His eyes were gentle but carried a steely edge, and his sword gleamed with the faintest trace of blue light. "You kids guys okay?" the newcomer asked, scratching the back of his head sheepishly. The young demon slayers were stunned by his speed and how effortlessly he had dispatched the demon. The first slayer picked himself up, trying to regain some semblance of pride. "We're fine," he snapped. "We didn't need your help. Just go away and don't steal our thunder." "Yeah," the girl added, glaring at the newcomer. "We can handle this ourselves." The stranger looked at them, a mix of surprise and amusement on his face. He nodded, giving them a kind smile before turning to leave. "Oh, you never told us your name," the girl called after him. The boy paused, glancing over his shoulder. "It's Tanjiro Kamado, Dadabeo," he replied before vanishing into the forest, leaving only the rustle of leaves in his wake. The two slayers looked at each other, confusion and irritation on their faces. "Who was that brat?" the first one muttered. Just then, one of their Kasugai crows swooped down, cawing loudly. "Mission successful," it demanded in its raucous voice. "Yeah, we defeated the demon," the first slayer said, puffing out his chest. "A brat named Tanjiro helped us a little, but it was mostly us." The crow's reaction was immediate and furious. It began to peck at them aggressively, its caws rising to an indignant screech. "You fools, you disrespected the fire shadow." "The what?" the girl stammered. "Oh my god, that was the Hokage." "Oh crap," the boy groaned, realization dawning. They looked at each other, their faces paling as the weight of their mistake sank in. The crow, still flapping angrily, finally settled down, leaving them to ponder the sheer luck of their survival and the unintentional slight they had given to the most powerful slayer of their time. Tanjiro Kamado sat in front of a raiment stall, savoring a rare moment of peace. He had just finished helping two young demon slayers defeat a demon. It had been half a year since his duel with the Hashiras, and since then, his life had been a whirlwind of responsibilities and battles. Tanjiro, formerly known as Naruto Uzumaki, was reincarnated into this world and had swiftly risen to become a leader among the demon slayers. The demons' numbers were increasing at an alarming rate and their attacks had become more frequent and desperate. His family had been targeted multiple times, but the demons stood no chance against him. It was clear that the Demon King was growing restless. As his steaming bowl of ramen arrived, Tanjiro eagerly began to dig in. The savory broth and tender noodles provided a comforting respite from his constant battles. The girl at the register, a young woman with bright eyes and a playful smile, leaned on the counter, clearly interested in him. "Hey there, hero," she purred, twirling a strand of her hair. "Is that sword just for show, or do you actually know how to use it?" Tanjiro, blissfully unaware of her intentions, looked up with a smile. "Oh, I've been using it for a while now. It's seen a lot of use." She giggled, leaning in a little closer. I bet you've got some impressive moves. Maybe you could show me sometime. Tanjiro, thinking she was genuinely interested in swordsmanship, nodded enthusiastically. Sure. I could demonstrate some moves right here if you'd like. She blinked, momentarily taken aback, then laughed. I meant somewhere more private. You know, just the two of us. Still oblivious, Tanjiro tilted his head. But it's important to practice in an open space. It's safer that way. She chuckled, shaking her head in disbelief. You're something else, aren't you? So, do you come here often, or is this a special occasion? Tanjiro slurped his noodles and replied, I come here whenever I can. The ramen here is really good, and it's nice to have a break from work. She raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Work, huh? Must be some kind of job if you're carrying that sword around. A man in his early 30s approached, his eyes curious as he pointed to the sword by Tanjiro's side. Hey, that's quite the sword you've got there. Are you an actor or do you work in a circus? Tanjiro smiled, giving him a vague answer. I've been using it for a while now. It's seen a lot of use. He knew the sword needed repairs. It had been through countless battles and was starting to show signs of wear. As he pondered where to get it fixed, he noticed his bird flapping its wings above the roof. A message. Excusing himself, Tanjiro moved to a more secluded spot to speak with his bird. Moments later, the bird, Amori no Imsei, descended from the roof and landed on his shoulder. The small bird, with its vibrant plumage of red, black, brown, white, green, and cobalt blue, greeted him warmly. Its charcoal black beak and deep black eyes gave it an air of wisdom beyond its eyes. Hello, my friend, Tanjiro said, stroking the bird's head gently. Hello, Tanjiro-sama, the bird chirped back. There is a case that needs your attention. It seems you are too overqualified for the job, but there is no available demon slayer at the moment who is qualified. The Hashiras are busy, so the leader has requested you, the Fire Shadow, to handle it. A demon slayer named Zenitsu Agatsuma sent a distress signal with his sparrow and needs help. There are no specific details about the problem, but it is assumed to be a high-level threat. The location is Tsuzumi Mansion in the southeastern mountains. Tanjiro's eyes narrowed with determination. Zenitsu got it. I'll head there immediately. With a quick nod to the bird, Tanjiro gathered his belongings and paid for his meal. As he was about to leave, the girl at the register called out, Hey, hero, maybe next time you can show me more than just your sword skills. Tanjiro turned back, smiling politely. Sure, I can show you some hand-to-hand combat techniques too. She laughed, shaking her head. You're adorable, you know that. How about I show you some moves instead? He blinked, puzzled. Oh, do you know martial arts too? That's great. We can train together. She leaned on the counter, giving him a playful wink. Something like that. But maybe we could start with a drink first. The man who had inquired about his sword shook his head in amazement. Kid, you really have no idea, do you? Tanjiro gave a puzzled look but nodded politely before heading out. As he left the raiment stall, the girl at the register watched him go with a wistful sigh, and the man who had inquired about his sword chuckled, shaking his head. Tanjiro made his way through the bustling streets, blending into the crowd despite his distinct attire. His thoughts were on Zenitsu and whatever danger awaited at the Tsuzumi mansion. His senses were heightened, ready for anything as he embarked on another mission to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. On my way. He whispered to himself, his resolve unwavering as he dashed towards the southeastern mountains, where a new challenge awaited him. Tanjiro arrived at the Tsuzumi mansion, his senses immediately on high alert. The air around the eerie structure was thick with malevolent energy. Standing at the entrance, he spotted a young man around his age, looking utterly terrified. The young man had wild, spiky blonde hair, wide fearful eyes, and wore the standard demon slayer uniform with a haori patterned in yellow and orange triangles. This was Zenitsu Agatsuma, a fellow demon slayer, though he didn't look very heroic at the moment. Beside Zenitsu were two young children, a boy and a girl, clad in traditional kimonos. The boy, clutching his sister's hand tightly, looked up at Tanjiro with tear-filled eyes. Our older brother is trapped inside by a demon, the boy said, his voice trembling. Please, you have to save him. Zenitsu, visibly shaking, added his own lament. I knew it. I knew I wasn't going to make it out of here alive. All I wanted was a simple life, to get married and live peacefully. I never wanted to be a demon slayer. Why did I even get myself into this? Naruto placed a comforting hand on Zenitsu's shoulder. It's going to be alright. Look after these kids while I handle the demon inside. Stay brave. He gave Zenitsu a reassuring smile before turning to face the mansion. Zenitsu, confused but somewhat calmed by the stranger's confidence, managed to stutter out, Who are you? The boy, flashing a kind smile, replied, I'm Tanjiro Kamado. And you? Zenitsu Agatsuma, the blonde replied shakily, his knees still knocking together. I'm also a demon slayer, but honestly, I don't know how much use I'll be. Tanjiro nodded understandingly. Nice to meet you, Zenitsu. I'll handle the demon. You keep these kids safe. Without hesitation, Tanjiro approached the mansion's wooden wall and, in a surprising display of strength, punched through it, creating a sizable opening. The sound of splintering wood echoed around them. He stepped through the newly made entrance with casual confidence, leaving Zenitsu and the children gaping in astonishment. The siblings exchanged a doubtful look, then turned to Zenitsu. Are you sure you're a demon slayer? The boy asked, his tone skeptical. Zenitsu gulped, forcing a nervous smile. Of course I am. He stammered, trying to sound convincing, but failing miserably. His legs trembled as he clutched his sword, his knuckles white from the grip. Inside the mansion, Tanjiro moved with purpose, his senses finally attuned to the presence of the demon. The corridors were dimly lit and the air felt heavy and oppressive. The sound of a drumbeat echoed through the halls, an ominous rhythm that seemed to shift the very layout of the mansion itself. Walls and floors rotated, creating a disorienting labyrinth. With every step, Tanjiro's focus grew stronger. He could sense the demon's vile energy and the fear of the trapped boy somewhere within these twisted halls. He navigated the shifting rooms with ease, his training and innate sense of direction guiding him. Meanwhile, outside, Zenitsu paced back and forth, muttering to himself. Why does it always have to be me? I didn't sign up for this, I just wanted to live a normal life. He glanced nervously at the children, who were watching him with wide, uncertain eyes. Your friend seemed really brave, the girl said quietly. Zenitsu forced another smile, his heart pounding. Yeah, he's something else, isn't he? Don't worry, he'll save your brother. Just stay close to me, alright? The children nodded, drawing closer to Zenitsu as they waited anxiously for Tanjiro's return. Inside the mansion, Tanjiro continued his search, ready to confront the demon and save the trapped boy, his mind focused on the mission ahead. As Tanjiro ventured deeper into the Tsuzumi mansion, a sinister voice echoed through the halls, sending shivers down his spine. The demon's voice was cold and mocking, filled with malice and a cruel sense of amusement. So, another foolish human has entered my domain, the demon sneered, its voice reverberating through the walls. Do you think you can defeat me? Pathetic. Tanjiro continued moving, his eyes scanning the dark corridors for any sign of the demon. The rhythmic sound of drumbeats filled the air, creating an unsettling atmosphere. Suddenly, the demon's voice echoed again, taunting and condescending. I've already taken care of several demon slayers before you, the demon mocked. They screamed and begged for mercy, but I showed them none. What makes you think you're any different? Tanjiro remained focused, using his exceptional sense of smell to detect the faint but distinct scent of the demon nearby. He knew that engaging in a battle of words would only distract him from his goal. The demon's voice continued, dripping with contempt. You're just a child playing at being a hero. Do you think your little sword can stand against my power? I will tear you apart piece by piece. As Tanjiro pinpointed the demon's location in another room, the drumbeats reverberated again, and he was abruptly shifted to a different chamber. The demon's laughter echoed through the halls, a chilling sound that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Do you like my little trick? The demon jeered. I can shuffle the rooms of this mansion as I please. You'll never find me. You'll wander these halls until you die of exhaustion. Determined, Tanjiro decided to take drastic measures. Earth style. Pillar technique. He shouted, slamming his hand on the floor. Instantly, massive stone pillars erupted from the ground, tearing through the mansion like a force of nature. The walls and ceilings crumbled, but to his surprise, the house miraculously repaired itself. From somewhere in the mansion, the demon cursed him furiously. You insolent brat. You dare defy me? I will make you suffer for this. Another drumbeat echoed, and Tanjiro was shuffled once more, this time landing in a room with a young boy about his age, dressed in a traditional kimono and clutching a drum. The boy, trembling, mistook Tanjiro for a monster or demon. Stay back. He cried out in fear. Tanjiro raised his hands in a placating gesture. It's okay. I'm here to help. Your younger sibling sent me to find you. The boy hesitated, then slowly nodded, his fear giving way to cautious hope. You really mean it? They're safe. Yes, they are, Tanjiro assured him. Now, let's get you out of here. Before they could move, the drumbeats echoed once more. But this time, Tanjiro was ready. As the walls shifted, he moved swiftly, slipping between the rooms. His keen sense of smell guided him unerringly to the demon's true location. In a blur of motion, he broke through a wall and confronted the demon. With a decisive swing of his blade, he decapitated the demon in one clean stroke. The demon's head tumbled to the ground, its eyes wide with shock. No, this can't be. As the demon's body began to disintegrate, Tanjiro's attention was drawn to a stack of papers nearby. He picked up a few pages and scanned them quickly. These are beautiful, he murmured. The demon, fading fast, managed to speak. Are you telling the truth? Tanjiro looked at the demon, his eyes filled with genuine compassion. Of course. You write wonderfully. A single tear slid down the demon's cheek. Thank you for acknowledging me. As the demon vanished into dust, Tanjiro whispered, "May you rest in peace." The mansion began to collapse around them. Tanjiro grabbed the boy and dashed outside, escaping the falling debris just in time. Once outside, they were greeted by the boy's younger siblings, who ran to him and hugged him tightly. "Thank you for saving our brother," they exclaimed, tears of relief streaming down their faces. Tanjiro smiled warmly at the reunited family. "I'm just glad you're all safe." Tanjiro noticed Zenitsu lying on the ground, unconscious from sheer terror. But something about the scene seemed off. Zenitsu was not just passed out from fear, it looked like he had been knocked out cold. Tanjiro knelt beside him, checking for injuries, and found a large bump on Zenitsu's head. Just then, a figure burst from the bushes, charging at Tanjiro with incredible speed. It was a boy wearing a boar mask, wielding two serrated blades. His body was muscular and scarred, giving him a wild, almost feral appearance. His breathing was heavy, and his stance aggressive. "You there?" the boar-masked boy shouted, pointing one of his blades at Tanjiro. "You're a demon, aren't you? I'll defeat you and become the greatest demon slayer." Tanjiro raised an eyebrow, recognizing the boy's peculiar behavior, but also sensing the intensity of his spirit. "I'm not a demon," he replied calmly. "But if you want to spar, I'll oblige." The boar-masked boy wasted no time, launching himself at Tanjiro with remarkable speed and agility. Tanjiro parried the initial strike effortlessly, his movements fluid and precise. The boy attacked with relentless ferocity, his dual blades flashing in the dimming light. "Take this, you weak demon," the boy roared, swinging his blades wildly. "I'll cut you to pieces." Tanjiro danced around the wild swings, countering with controlled strikes that showed his superior skill. Despite his impressive strength and speed, the boy was no match for Tanjiro's experience and technique. Tanjiro was toying with him, allowing the boy to exert his energy, while he remained mostly on the defensive. "Is that all you've got?" the boy yelled, frustration evident in his voice. "Fight me better, demon." Tanjiro's patience wore thin. He decided to end the sparring match quickly. With a swift calculated movement, he disarmed the boy and delivered a precise blow to his stomach, knocking the wind out of him. The boy fell to the ground, unconscious. Tanjiro knelt beside the fallen boy and carefully removed the boar mask. He was taken aback by the contrast between the boy's wild demeanor and his surprisingly delicate and beautiful face. The boy had sharp features, striking blue eyes, and long lashes that gave him an almost ethereal look. It was a stark contrast to his rugged body and aggressive attitude. "Such a beautiful face," Tanjiro muttered, bewildered by the incongruity. He turned back to the siblings, offering them a reassuring smile. "Take care of each other," he said gently. "You're safe now." The siblings nodded, their eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you, kind sir," the older brother said, his voice trembling with emotion. Tanjiro hoisted the unconscious Zenitsu and the boar-masked boy, now unmasked, onto his shoulders. They were surprisingly light for their size, but Tanjiro's strength made the task manageable. As he walked away, the siblings waved goodbye, their hearts lighter thanks to Tanjiro's intervention. He made his way toward the nearest demon slayer estate, where they could rest and receive treatment. The road was long, but Tanjiro's resolve never wavered. He knew that, despite the challenges, he was on the right path, helping others and bringing hope to those in need. Just before he turned the corner, the older brother called out, "Hey. Did that guy knock out our friend?" Tanjiro looked back, a small smile playing on his lips. "Yeah, seems like it," he said. "But don't worry, I'll take care of them." The siblings nodded, watching as Tanjiro carried the two unconscious boys toward the horizon. After a long journey, Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke arrived at the Asakusa estate, a place known for its long-standing tradition of treating and caring for demon slayers. The estate was nestled in a quiet picturesque corner of Asakusa, surrounded by lush gardens and serene koi ponds. The moment the caretakers saw Tanjiro, their eyes lit up with excitement and reverence. "The fire shadow!" they exclaimed in awe. Whispers of his heroic deeds and the legendary duel with the Hashiras had spread far and wide. The entire family bustled around, ensuring that every need was met promptly and with great care. Zenitsu was laid on a soft futon, groaning in pain. His injuries, courtesy of Inosuke's relentless assault, were severe. The boar-headed boy had landed numerous blows, leaving Zenitsu bruised and battered. His right arm was heavily bandaged, and a nasty bump on his head had turned a purplish hue. The healers worked diligently, applying medicinal herbs and wrapping his injuries with expert hands. Tanjiro watched over Zenitsu with concern. Despite Zenitsu's annoying tendencies, he cared for his comrades deeply. Meanwhile, a kusugai crow landed on the windowsill, its beady eyes fixating on Tanjiro. "Caw. Fire shadow, rest for a few days. You by Shiki-sama's orders," the crow screeched. Tanjiro sighed, knowing he couldn't ignore a direct request from their leader. "Alright, I'll rest," he said reluctantly, though his mind was already planning for the next mission. Inosuke, on the other hand, was a constant whirlwind of energy. He couldn't sit still for a moment, always challenging Tanjiro to sparring matches because he was convinced that Tanjiro was some sort of demon. "Boy, Gunjiro. Fight me." Inosuke would shout, brandishing his dual blades with an intense, almost manic look in his eyes. Tanjiro, with his usual patience, would correct him gently. "It's Tanjiro, Inosuke. And yes, I'll spar with you." "Whatever, Tanjiro. Prepare to face the strongest," Inosuke would declare, launching into a flurry of attacks. Despite Inosuke's fierce determination and raw power, Tanjiro always lined him up with precise, controlled movements. Each spar ended with Inosuke sprawled on the ground, panting heavily, yet his spirit never wavered. Zenitsu, however, was a different story altogether. One evening, as they sat around a low table, enjoying a quiet meal, Zenitsu leaned in closer to Tanjiro, his eyes wide with curiosity. "Do you have any sisters, Hokage-sama?" he asked, almost whispering. Tanjiro looked up from his bowl of rice, puzzled. "Yes, two. But why?" Zenitsu's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Awesome." It turned out Zenitsu harbored a strange notion that marrying into the family of a powerful person like Tanjiro would ensure his safety from demons. The idea seemed ridiculous, but Zenitsu's desperation for a peaceful life drove him to such thoughts. Later, in an attempt to dissuade him, Naruto agreed to a quick sparring match. Zenitsu, as expected, was no match for the fire shadow. Tanjiro's movements were a blur, and Zenitsu found himself flat on his back, staring up at the ceiling. From that day, Zenitsu would often be heard muttering, "Nezuko ni-chan. Hanako Amato." In his sleep, clearly traumatized by the idea of sparring with Tanjiro again. During their stay at the Asakusa estate, the three boys experienced moments of peace and healing. The caretakers doted on them, providing warm meals, soothing baths, and soft beds. Despite the brief respite, the looming threat of demons was never far from their minds. As Tanjiro gazed out at the moonlit garden one night, it was then that Inosuke's Kusugai crow landed, its sleek black feathers gleaming in the dim light. The bird, with its sharp eyes and regal bearing, spotted Tanjiro and immediately flinched before bowing deeply. "Honorable Fire Shadow," it croaked respectfully. Tanjiro nodded in acknowledgement. The poor bird often had to deal with Inosuke's attempts to eat it whenever it came close. The crow hesitated before speaking, clearly choosing its words carefully. "Your fellow demon slayer, Inosuke, is asleep, isn't he?" the crow inquired, its tone deferential. "Yes, Inosuke is asleep," Tanjiro confirmed. "What's the matter?" The crow fluffed its feathers nervously, then continued in a more urgent tone. "There has been an emergency, Fire Shadow. The presence of your fellow demon slayers Zenitsu and Inosuke is required. The mission is to assist other demon slayers at Mount Nadagumo. The situation is dire and requires immediate attention." Naruto listened intently, his expression serious. "I understand the urgency. I'll make sure they get the message," he assured the crow. The bird bowed again, deeply appreciative. "Thank you, Fire Shadow. Your guidance and leadership are invaluable to us all." With that, the crow took off into the night, its silhouette disappearing against the dark sky. Tanjiro stood there for a moment, deep in thought. Kagaya had strictly instructed him to rest and not to engage in any missions for 10 days. He had been thinking of visiting his family, longing for a brief respite from the endless battles and responsibilities. His family's mountain was on the way to Mount Nadagumo. Maybe he could accompany these boys, not engaging in the mission itself, but merely observing it. That seemed like a good idea. He could ensure their safety without breaking his promise to Kagaya. With a resolved nod, he decided on this course of action. It was the best way to balance duty and rest. As he made his way back to the estate, he mentally prepared himself for the journey ahead. "Zenitsu, Inosuke," he murmured to himself, "we've got work to do. Let's make sure everyone comes back safely." With that, he set his plans into motion, ready to protect and support his fellow demon slayers. At dawn, Naruto found a quiet spot under a large ancient tree. He settled into a meditative pose, closing his eyes and letting the stillness wash over him. As he entered sage mode, 2 scarlet flower-like patterns appeared on each side of his eyes, glowing softly with an otherworldly light. He could feel the energy of the earth coursing through him, every heartbeat resonating with the pulse of nature. Around him, the forest came alive. Birds of various colors and sizes perched on his shoulders and head, chirping melodiously. Squirrels chattered and gathered near his feet, their tiny paws twitching in curiosity. A family of rabbits hopped closer, their noses wriggling as they sniffed the air. Even butterflies fluttered around him, their wings creating a delicate symphony of colors. Small foxes and hedgehogs cautiously approached, their eyes reflecting a mixture of awe and trust. The people in the estate watched with wide eyes, whispering in amazement as nature itself seemed to resonate with Tanjiro's presence. From their room, Zenitsu and Inosuke were slack-jawed, peering through the window at the incredible sight. Zenitsu rubbed his eyes in disbelief. "Are you seeing this, Inosuke?" he whispered, his voice tinged with awe. "It's like he's some kind of nature god." Inosuke, however, was less impressed by the scene and more excited about the potential challenge. "That's nothing. I could do that too if I wanted," he huffed, but his eyes betrayed his amazement. "But right now, we need to find out what he's planning." As they approached, the crowd parted to let them through, all eyes still fixed on Tanjiro. He opened his eyes slowly, the patterns around his eyes fading as he transitioned back from sage mode. He gently patted the creatures around him, whispering words of gratitude for their company. The animals gradually dispersed, returning to their natural routines. Turning to Zenitsu and Inosuke, Tanjiro spoke calmly, his voice carrying a sense of peace and authority. "Zenitsu, Inosuke, we have an urgent mission at Mount Natagumo. I will accompany you both, but I will not assist directly. My role is to observe and ensure your safety." Zenitsu gulped, still in awe. "Right, Tanjiro, I mean, Fire Shadow. We'll do our best," he stammered, trying to muster some confidence. Inosuke, ever the eager warrior, pounded his chest. "Yeah, just watch. We'll take care of everything. You won't have to lift a finger." Naruto smiled at their enthusiasm, feeling a deep sense of responsibility and pride. "Let's get ready then. We leave soon. Remember, trust in your training and in each other. I'll be right behind you." As they prepared for their journey, the estate's residents couldn't help but feel a renewed sense of hope and admiration for their Fire Shadow, who not only commanded the respect of his fellow demon slayers, but also the very essence of nature itself. Next parts. The Mountain of Octolimbs. Hope you guys liked this part. On 400 likes, the next part will be uploaded. So do like and subscribe to the channel. It's time to say sayonara.